Right, we're expecting some Somali tactics today with what are they? The Musketeers.
It's,
Gurkhas.
sepoys.
Well,
Yeah.
Sepoys, the Somali Sepoys, the Sompu's favorite unit. I'm expecting lots of those to be produced and just sent all around the map to raid Oliveza's British villagers from the manor houses from left, right, and centre.
Exactly, and it is a wood start, so better for India as you'd expect, right? And you do have a marker on this map, so if he does find a couple of coin treasures somewhere, there is 90 coin at the top here. So if Sompu finds that, he should be quite happy. And as you said, yeah, Sompu likes to sort of run around with his sepoys, doesn't he? When he can get into the later portion of the game, even if he's behind, he's sort of known for running around, sort of causing mischief and whatever.
The
And
thing about
oh yes.
SomppuKunkku, which I find really impressive about his playstyle, is even though sometimes he's not necessarily in the most commanding position towards the mid game, his macro and multitasking ability can somehow pull him through difficult times, raid his opponents while the opponent's focused on maybe getting control of the center, the big fights, and Sompu's just constant carnage of just.
Oh, yeah, he just moves around his villages here. He does pick up two dogs, Sampu, which is a really good treasure, actually. These dogs oh, no, sorry, saying a single one. But they do represent a decent amount of damage, actually, 15, and they do upgrade on the when they age up, which is nice. I think Harrison's just got an AFK, so I'll just continue. But, yeah, I mean, Sampu's in a pretty nice position over the extra wood he got there. He does get a number of sheep as well, because he does have the two explorers, which do have more speed. He might pick up another one here when he sees it. And yeah, 80 food there is probably going to pick up. 80 food being an incredibly nice treasure for India in particular, as they can age up quicker, as you don't have to pump as many villagers on food to get up, which is nice.
Yeah, that's totally. So they use wood to actually build the villagers, but as soon as they actually reach the 800 food figure, they can just lay down that agri fort straight away. So any food treasure directly helps the age up time, which is something not necessarily true with European civilizations.
Yeah. Basically, he'll age up even quicker. You'd expect him to be quite aggressive in this matchup, actually, if he doesn't go for like a fortress play or something. Because obviously, British, they do have that stronger economy. They do also have schooners, which we don't see actually. We only see we do see 4 privateers, which is quite a strong card there. But we don't see a huge amount of water in Oliveza's deck. He does have VC there, but I doubt he's gonna be sending that. And at the same time, yeah, it's a pretty standard deck from Sompu as well.
Well, I've just got Sompu's deck open at the moment. I can see that he's got the 2 caravels, frigates, but also some interesting cards of the 10 tiger claws, as well as elephant combat.
Yeah, which isn't a card you normally see. He does have that Royal Green Jackets card, which is yeah, it probably is us opening the decks because it does make the game lag. But yeah, not a card you normally see. What some people has normally he's just a Sepoy player. He does have 14 Sepoys in deck as well, which is a strong card. But yeah, actually that's quite a good sort of spot there. That Elephant Combat, you don't normally see it. And Eliza's, as I said, is pretty basic. It's not really anything entirely special. He does have 3 rockets, which is maybe some who sent the villager too far forward. He's going to be putting his Agri fort down the middle as well, which is relatively close to his opponent there.
Well, it's a nice spot he's put down for his agri fort. It's kind of he's got all the sight in between the native posts to the top, the trading posts to the south, and the trading posts to the east. So you've got this large area of line of sight and central portion of the map control. So once that goes up, he's going to feel quite happy that he's guarding 1 line definitely. 2, it's not necessarily his mine now, but he can knock Oliveza off from actually gathering this extra coin mine out by the native post, but also secures himself another potential 2 hunts that the British player desperately needs.
Yeah, the British does take loads of hunts here, just sort of eats through them. You do see the VC coming in as well. I didn't notice this earlier. There was a trading post going down for Eliza early on.
The centre of the map, we got Tomahawk and Explorer on top of the villager. Villager currently at half HP, and the Agrivore was only halfway up.
Yeah,
I feel that the villager will be going down at this rate.
The villager will probably stay up. I mean, assuming he.
The dog comes in.
Maybe I don't know who's going to win this. Actually, he does get the villager away. There's that Tomahawk is slightly faster than the villager, so if he was continuing to stare, if he's just continuing to attack, he probably would have killed it. But yeah, that Agrifort's going to go up in a second. A dog is going to go down, and Some probably doesn't want to keep the villager there because as he ages up, as there is that malice 0.5 versus villagers on that tomahawk, but now it's removed as he's aged up. So if he gets caught here, you might not be in a brilliant position, but I think he should be fine actually. A second villager does come forward for Somppu as well, and he's just going to put that on the wonder.
So I've just
a consulate.
Yeah, so he's pulled back one villager, and the fact that that villager didn't build the aggro fort from halfway from the construction ones are going up has delayed his age up by 5 seconds. However, he keeps that villager alive, and that villager can work for the Indian economy throughout the rest of the game. And I think that was a good move from Somppu to protect the villager when he could. But Oliveza saw the second villager move out from the base, so he knows that he needs to construct a building forward, and you don't go to build a barracks because you've already got the aggro fort down there. So Oliveza, if he saw the second villager going, he may have deduced that a consulate is going to be dropped down, and possibly a consulate push is coming.
Yeah, and Oliveza did actually age up with the huge crates of food, so he doesn't get that outpost and base, which may have helped him if Somppu actually is going for that consulate rush. There's those 2 seapoys which do come on with the age up, and we're probably going to see export being sent here from Somppu, or maybe even 4 sours or 5 seapoys. If we look at units in queue here, he is popped slightly over here. Yeah, a couple of seapoys in queue for Somppu. And at the same time, Oliveza's now getting another barracks down. He does have steel traps in queue. And at this point, the Virginia company he sent hasn't really paid off at all. So that shipment is sort of idle there. And if this is going to be a big push from Somppu, it's only 3 seapoys coming out. That's a bit disappointing.
Well, he's currently got 2 extra houses being constructed now. One, so he's up to 100 population in mana population. He was using the 700 wood to jump his eco further with the combination of the wood and the Virginia company.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe it's the wrong thing to do here. I mean, there's going to be a lot of units, and there's even a musketeer coming out here, just probably to scout from Oliveza's point of view. Yeah, he is going to see that consulate, so he knows there's going to be a bit of pressure coming towards him, and maybe he'll be able to sort of shift focus and produce some longbows. Yeah, I just saw him shift and produce longbows instead. But yeah, this is quite a big push here. If we look at military unit population, 20 units, and all these units are incredibly powerful. Redcoats being basically colonial age musketeers, fortress age musketeers, and seapoys themselves being roughly the same. And there's not really much to defend here for Oliveza.
Large push coming in from the front. He's pulled the musketeers back into a more defensive position. We would not want the elephant to get stomped off. A stomp comes in, 4 stuns there. The Indian army advances a little bit closer. Anytime that British army snares, they can get away and will be overpowered by this larger Indian mass coming in. Minutemen being called, forcing the Indian player back. And a mixture of the musketeers, the Minutemen, the 11 villagers in the town centre has forced this early pressure from SomppuKunkku back.
Yeah, nicely defended actually from the British player there. He's going to push back. He does have not a huge amount of, as you know, saying that he has a huge amount of hunts at the back here, and he did have a little bit of idle time, as you said. Saying that Somppu didn't really lose too many units. If we look at units lost here, Somppu only did lose 4 seapoys and 1 musketeer, and at the same time, Oliveza actually lost more units. He lost 4 musketeers and 5 longbows. And Somppu's still got the pressure here. And one thing to remember about India is India's shipments are all incredibly powerful because they have that extra villager. So even though he did send 5 seapoys, it's still basically an eco shipment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not much difference between the economy of the British player and the Indian player at the moment, which I think SomppuKunkku, although he did lose a few units putting villagers into the town centre, the fact that he's forced Oliveza to go on more defensive, looking at this large mass of British troops already being produced by 8 minutes, where he's already sent Virginia Company, the 700 wood, the 600 wood. He really wants to be throwing down all those extra manor houses to make the most of that card. But at the moment, he's been forced to play on the defensive and focus on military instead of economy as a result of that.
Yeah, and Somppu actually going to lose a couple more units here, like 3 or 4 seapoys. So Oliveza's actually got a bigger mass here, and if he gets caught out here, if that explorer can try and get onto the to that sort of column of units there, it won't be very good at all. And yeah, that native scout there as well is pretty useful. It doesn't snare an EP, remember, but he is going to probably lose a couple more units here, which isn't good for Somppu. And Oliveza's mass here is pretty significant. A couple of Gurkhas do come out, which is a rarity from Somppu, as I've said before. He's even going to lose a couple of them. He's going to lose all of his units, surely. And yeah,
But he also has musketeers in the base as a British player, which is picking off one villager from the south, and the villager goes down there. Oliveza has currently lost 4 settlers as a result of this multi-tier pressure from SomppuKunkku, which we were talking about early game, and what is pretty renowned for.
Yeah, Sompu's almost certainly going to lose this Agra Fort. 6. Sompu's a single red coat. Look how many units are back here. Yeah, there's loads of units just basically sitting there for the British player. He needs some hussars, really. I mean, there's the Minutemen coming from the Ottoman consulate, which do represent a decent amount of damage. There's another column of redcoats coming off from the left. And I don't know why Eliza's really going back here. He can just push forward, surely. Obviously, it's inefficient to fight versus the Minutemen, but he's giving Sompu so much time. And he's also below Sompu in eco at this point. As he has...
I was about to say, that moment when you go for a Virginia Company mana boom, but actually have less eco than your opposition.
Yeah, and this is where sort of the Indian shipments sort of come into their own. I mean, that Sour shipment is actually it's stronger than 3 hussars, obviously, but they are weaker units. But each shipment adding on a single villager, and Eliza hasn't sent in that 5 settler card, which is what you normally want to send after 700 wood as British. But unfortunately, he's had to send these 2 longbowman shipment and a musketeer shipment. But yeah, he's just going to push forward here. And that Agafort is getting healed up by Sompu, which is quite nice. And his units are quite far away. He does get a good raid on the left here from those Sours. So there's even more British settlers going down. Now there's a total of... let's have a look here. Total of 10.
Now, that is. And he's also pushing on the forward gold mine of Oliveza and be able to pick up his 2 elephants. Possibly, they must have went down recently. I thought they had a little bit more HP than that. However, again, 3 more musketeers going down. He's got his army together, and although the Agra fort has come down, we got to remember Sompu has the eco lead at the moment, so he's happy to pull the British army back towards Oliveza's own town centre, so that his own eco back in the Indian base can just flourish, get on. Just checking out some market techs, we've got the tier 2 food upgrade, we've got the all-round tier 1 civil servants upgrade. No coin upgrade yet, but it's certainly decent economy upgrades back at home.
Yeah, and Eliza does have a bigger eco, and the smaller eco, as you said, but he does have a bigger army. And one thing to note is the Indian army is sort of overrepresented.
Oh, right, look at this mass migration of settlers to the right-hand side. About 20 settlers just chasing after this one deer who's run into the sea. Yeah,
but that gets caught. That's not going to be good. And there's a couple of, as I said before, a column of musketeers here, which are probably going to get picked off by those sepoys, which are incredibly strong. And, yeah, this just isn't a good trade. And Sompu's just doing what he does, basically constantly, and just running around.
So we've got an army in the Indian base, we've got an army in the British base, both sides.
Yeah, but this is actually a bit of a pin here from Eliza, as those musketeers are going to snare, and he's just going to get forward here. That might be quite a few units there going down for Sompu. He does get a couple more musketeers on them as well, and mostly Minutemen now.
Here with the Minutemen as well, 1 HP.
Yeah.
Very easily.
And just look at the military unit population. The eco unit population is actually sort of evened out here. And that snare in those last couple of units is going to do quite a lot of damage. And Sompu isn't in a great position. Although saying at the same time, Sompu did clean up his opponent's army up the top there. But he did have to call Minutemen at those sentries and the irregulars. So if we look at military units, there's only actually 12 sepoys, which are culpable units. The other ones are just going to die very easily. And there's musketeer combat coming in, so these musketeers now actually do more damage than the sepoy each shot. And honestly, I think Eliza's just in a much better position than Sompu at this point.
Well, at the moment, we're going to the late colonial age. No players looking to age up at this moment. We do have 600 coin shipped from SomppuKunkku about a minute ago, but he's using that for further military production. We have 2 barracks at home for the Indian player, but I don't see a stable anywhere. So he's currently committing to the Sepoy Gurkha play. 2
caravels coming out from Sompu. That's huge. He's going to get so many villagers there. Remember, caravels actually are really powerful at taking out villagers because they shoot very quickly. And look here, they do area damage. So if Eliza doesn't see this for a while, he does pull them back, but he's probably going to lose a couple more villagers here, which obviously isn't very good. And it's the only hunt he has. Another one probably going to go down.
At this point, he's only lost 2 villagers, and although this play looks really great on the eye, he's just spent a colonial age shipment worth 700 resources just to kill 2 settlers and move the villagers across somewhere else where he has the military advantage as well. So these settlers are pretty safe in the center of the map.
Yeah, but all of the villagers moving is lost time. He's not producing units. He's only got a batch of 2 musketeers out there, and by the looks of it, it's sort of a base trade, but some people have to run back, unfortunately. He does have a small army of Gurkhas, and actually Eliza's army is only musketeers, so if Sompu can kite correctly, should be fine. And Eliza's actually losing a lot more units than he should be. He does get a couple of villagers on the right here with a small sort of small batch of musketeers doing some damage there, and he does have a nice raid at the top here at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably still in Eliza's sort of advantage, but it's drawing over closer because of how some people can run around units, and this seaport raid over the right here is probably going to damage his economy
so much value, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of those villagers is actually 1 HP, which somehow he hasn't died yet. He's going to die in just a second. Yeah, there we go, gets picked off. And those sepoys might go down, but Eliza just needs hussars. He needs something to be able to catch those sepoys and stop them doing anything. And yeah, unless you've just flared, there's the stable going down. But yeah, I mean, this isn't too great for Eliza, really. If Sompu's just going to run around his units and get a larger mass of sepoys and Gurkhas, which Gurkhas do actually just trounce on musketeers, even if the musketeers are upgraded.
I think possibly one of the reasons why SomppuKunkku hasn't gone for a stable just as of yet, the hand cavalry of the Indian player, the Sawa, is not especially that it's not that great at raiding. It doesn't have a very high attack. It has some high multipliers versus infantry and light infantry, but he knows that the British player's eco is spread out all across the map. And with the high attack damage to the sepoys, look, we've got another sepoy raid on the forward gold mine of Oliveza, carrying out position. 7 villagers at risk here.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's action all around the map, and at the top here, there's Sompu losing a couple of villagers of his own. If we look at economic units, so actually now is in favour of Eliza. I mean, roughly equal, but you have to account for the foreign logging of the Indian player there. And
sepoys making their way onto board onto the ship for a safe recovery.
Yeah, that was pretty smart. Those two caravels also actually added a lot of speed, 8.5 speed instead of 4 of the infantry units there. And yeah, let's look at the units lost. And 16 villagers for Sompu. Eliza actually isn't fully Virginia accompanied up. He can produce 4 more settlers from houses. And just look at it, massive units both players have lost. They're just going into a late colonial brawl, basically.
Hey, look at this. We've got 6 hussars in queue, 5 hussars popping onto the sepoy mass here, and all the reinforcements for SomppuKunkku are Gurkhas coming up behind.
Yeah, but five hussars isn't going to be doing a huge amount, especially if he doesn't have that, what is it called? He doesn't have cavalry HP in deck, which, to be honest, against India is probably a mistake. I think the improved warship card probably should have been cavalry HP. But, yeah, I mean, he is going to use the hussars to be able to catch these sepoys, is what he really needs. Because those sepoys running around his base are just annoying him, and he's not really getting anything out of it. And he does, thankfully for him, micro quite well around those sepoys, not to get damage from that 45 damage a hit on the big sword there. But I don't know what Sompu's doing here. But by the looks of it, he's collecting way too much wood. He probably wants to go ship into to fishing here because he is sort of penned in. There's not a lot of hunts left.
Yeah, that's a good observation there at the moment. SomppuKunkku has rebuilt his second barracks back in base, but at the moment I don't see a consulate down anywhere on the. It's right to the back. Top corner is a Ottoman consulate. So he's really gone for the Ottoman consulate again. I did see the Ottoman consulate before it was sieged down beforehand. So currently, SomppuKunkku has the extra line of sight on his units, but is foregoing that hit point bonus you get if you ally yourself with the British consulate instead.
Yeah, and one thing to note about the it's going to give us a couple of hussars if he's not lucky. There are a couple of hussars dying for no reason from Eliza. One thing to note about the Ottoman consulate has been changed in the latest revision of EP, where it doesn't affect buildings. So the line of sight isn't actually that good anymore. I mean, it does give a nice bonus when you're raiding with sepoys or trying to spot raids of the opponent, but it's not too good. It's only 10. And what it really benefited from the building is you put a house down, you get masses of line of sight. And we just look over the left here. Look at this raid, which is going to come in from all those villagers. Then there's basically half of Eliza's economy there.
Yeah, Oliveza has to react and move his settlers at the moment. He's got 10 hussars on the far right, raiding 2 villages. However, a lot of villagers escaped in the caravel into the sea. Large infantry mass of musketeers on SomppuKunkku's food settlers to the 12 o'clock of the map. 2 caravels sent from Oliveza as well onto the sea. But already SomppuKunkku's got the first shots off. This is going to be tight if they're going to engage each other.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, whoever micros those caravels better, I think, yeah, it's going to be huge, actually. This is massive.
Somppu missed that. It was 2v1 on 2.
And we're missing, we're missing a huge raid at the top here. Both players losing masses of villages. Somppu is aging with that, I forgot what it's called, Taj Mahal. He does have 2 shipments stacked. And Eliza
down here as well, like you say.
Yeah, Eliza's probably going to lose all those. No, Somppu's probably going to lose all those villages on the coastline. He can get the caravel in nearby, but he's going to lose more and more villages, and that caravel probably will go down very quickly. More and more villages going down for Eliza, but Somppu's now only on 16 villagers. This is insane.
This is absolutely crazy. If you looked at the units lost, like even between 2 casters, we cannot keep up with all this action.
Yeah, look.
50 settlers for SomppuKunkku have gone down and 43 for Oliveza. This is not your standard game, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and then that town centre's almost certainly going to go down. Honestly, if Eliza could probably siege down that what's it called, Taj Mahal, and just take down India's age up quickly, and he doesn't gain anything at it, he is going to lose his own town centre, but there's only 9 settlers in there, and there's a mass migration of settlers from both players on the right and the left. Although, yeah, he's going to go for that Taj Mahal, so that's probably going to go down before he even ages up. Come on, Eliza. Oh, what are you doing? Come on, siege it all down.
I think the Taj Mahal is going to be safe. What I'm worried about is once SomppuKunkku takes down the British town centre, Oliveza will be stuck in age 2, but SomppuKunkku nearly has 3 shipments to send in the fortress age, so he needs to get to the shipment points and feed off his AoE3 shipments and momentum to carry him throughout the game, because at the moment he's down in economy, just about, and down in military.
Yeah, this raid at the top here as well. 47 villagers now lost for 48, now going on 50. 58 for Somppu. It's just insane, this game. And that town centre's the last shipment point, so he can't actually send any shipments. Unless there's a castle somewhere. There isn't a castle, so...
Actually, time out. This is important. The town centre has gone down, and SomppuKunkku only has, I repeat, only has 4 settlers to the left of the map being raided by 2 hussars. If these settlers go down, that is game over for SomppuKunkku.
Yeah, he also
have no way to build an outpost and no way to come back into the game.
Yeah, I think Somppu's almost certainly lost this. The lower seed Eliza's.
Have you ever seen a town centre behind the enemy's town?
He's got a town centre over to the bottom left, but there's no way he can kill that army. I mean, it's not 87 units to 29. That I cannot say that name, but the elephant's going to go down. 2 sepoys do come in to pressure the hussars, but honestly...
SomppuKunkku has only got 1 villager, and that is in Oliveza's base, so what is this?
Yeah, he can see it, and Oliveza's obviously going to take down that Taj Mahal, and there is a mass for sepoys and Gurkhas. But, yeah, this game is just, I think it's just over at this point. I mean, both players losing basically their whole economy twice. As you said, he's even got a sheep.
The Indian sheep. He's walling in the Indian explorer. He thinks. He doesn't know where the other explorer is. But all both explorers are down. It's the last settler. This is it. That last settler is the sole key of trying to come back into this game.
Yeah, but there's nothing he can send which brings him back into the game. Maybe if he can somehow get together the 500 food for the what's it called, the Urumi, he could try and stage a comeback. But yeah, I don't think there's anything he can really do here. Somehow he has 8. He has oh, it's the woodworking. Yeah, the one thing that was good about it is he has the trickle still, obviously, but I don't see there's any possibility he can get back on this game. They basically traded bases that are now setting up in each other's bases, but yeah, there's not really much Somppu can do here.
Well, the woods will allow SomppuKunkku to build a couple of houses to get that population up. With the population increased, you can then send the shipments and play from there. However, I feel that...
No, there's no... Even 7... Yeah. 7 Gurkhas. I mean, if you look at military units, there are a number of hussars, not 7 Gurkhas. Even if he gets out the 7 Urumi, he's not going to be doing too much. He did send a frigate, which is quite peculiar actually. It doesn't really gain anything from him. He does have a number of sepoy left. He does have 17 sepoy, and he's probably going to go for he's going to go for a market, probably buy some food of all things.
We got
yeah.
Hussar on the top left scouting for any potential villagers and buildings, and he will come across this side build from the Indian player very, very soon. A market's come up, so he can actually buy the food he needs to send one of the more impactful Indian shipments.
Yeah, and actually, one thing
You've
that's
just seen it. It's like, what on earth's going on down here?
yeah, that figure is actually quite effective, really. Just denying the whole of the coastline for Eliza. And Eliza's only collecting food now. He only has 18 settlers of his own, so it's basically army versus army at this game. It's a bit, and with cards as well. I mean, Eliza can't age up. He has nothing he can send. He can send. Yeah, literally nothing, actually. So this is sort of turned into a Dejection's card game, if you will, with yeah, I don't really know what's happening in this game. There are a number of Hussars still alive, but 25 sepoys. If you can try and get the sepoys, there's 9 sepoys. Yeah, if you can try and get the Arumi out, honestly, I think Sompu can win, which is the most amazing part of it. Although saying that he doesn't actually have a ship, yeah, he just sent a shipment, and I believe that's probably the Gurkha shipment at 8 Gurkhas. So yeah, if Sompu can somehow get enough settlers out to get the Arumi out, not settlers out, enough food to get the Arumi out, honestly, I think he might be okay. Although saying that there is a town centre coming up and Eliza's probably going to age.
I've only just noticed this, but even though Oliveza has dual-carded musketeers with 2 upgrades, the musketeer attack and the musketeer HP, SomppuKunkku's sepoys are pretty much stat for stat the same. -1 attack, a tiny bit more HP. These sepoys are absolute tanks and can carry SomppuKunkku back into the game.
And there's 8 Gurkhas, yeah, and if he could just get up enough resources to get the Arumi, he's going to be completely fine. And there's nothing that the Eliza can really do against these Gurkha. He does have the Hussars, and the sepoys are behind. But if he could just defend for a little while, he actually will come back into this, which is what's so amazing. And he's also getting all the villager, not the villager, the XP from these manor houses. They do give a decent amount. I think it's 54 HP from each. HP 54 XP from each manor house when he takes them down. So he's getting more and more shipments. I believe I think he's just sent the Gurkha, not the Gurkha, the Urumis. So those Urumis, if they pop out on those musketeers, they're just going to demolish them.
Yeah, SomppuKunkku going to be careful with his army. He's currently trying to take down barracks, but although taking down barracks is good, Oliveza still has eco. He can still rebuild those barracks. But once Oliveza's army goes down, then that's when SomppuKunkku can really get back into the game. So he needs to come from behind, cut off the escape route, and lets the not sepoys, but the Urumis pop out on top of the musketeers and snare them with sepoys coming up from the back.
Yeah, and they're almost certainly coming out now. I don't know what else he would have sent. Maybe even Royal Green Jackets, which is so good. Oh no, he sent 1,000 coin. Pardon me, that 1,000 coin is to try and get the resources needed for the Arumis, and he can't take this fight. If Eliza just right click, and you take down the you just take down any chance Sompu has really of doing anything.
I've just seen that SomppuKunkku is getting disciplined sepoys at the moment, so if he can hold off from a fight for the time being, his sepoys will drastically outclass Oliveza's musketeers.
Yeah, but it's not... Actually, yeah, he is getting disciplined sepoys in, which makes him incredibly strong, and he needs them to take out the Hussars. Eliza should be making more and more Hussars, but I don't know what Eliza's doing. He's not really making any units. If you look at units in queue, he's making a couple of Hussars now, but he only has 7. He needs way more because of just how strong the Urumis are. And you're fair saying Sompu never resigns when he's losing, but I don't think Sompu's losing at this point. I think he needs to wait it out. He's in for a long game at this point. He is even making a consulate down of his own, so he can get a couple of Hussars out to snare the army.
Yeah, he's up to 393 export. Unfortunately, with an economy of about 7 villages, it might take another half an hour to get that next 4 export. It's slowly going up.
No, because he's already on the consulate, so he can get the 3 Hussars out like instantaneously. Like Eliza, he could have right-clicked the TC so long ago and he would have won, but he's just delayed it so much. But I don't know if that many units. If we look at military units here, there is 8 hussars and there's 20 longbows there, and the 10 musketeers which are upgraded. I don't know if that army's going to win. I don't. Honestly, I have no clue. The Yuumis are very strong, but I don't know how strong they actually are.
Well, Oliveza's army is 2 to 3 times the size of SomppuKunkku's, yet he's still scared and afraid of the Indian spawn point because of how quickly a game can turn against him.
Yeah, I mean, Somppu is also using his manor houses to get more and more XP, and Eliza's about to be popped, but Eliza's just not doing anything with the army. He does take out a couple of the hussars, of Gardener hussars here. Yeah, there's the hussars going down, but surely the Urumi pop now. It's been so long. He sent the shipment a while ago now. 26 minutes. It's been 3 minutes since the shipment came in. And at this point, he just needs it. And he needs to regroup his army. Eliza is now finally walking over to the town centre. And, yeah, what did he just send? He didn't send anything. He just popped the villagers out. I have no clue what's happening here.
I don't think SomppuKunkku's got a shipment on the way. He sent the 1,000 coin at 26 minutes, but he hasn't really been fighting. He hasn't really been producing. He hasn't got a trading post. So that XP, we're used to it gathering at a certain rate, but at the moment, not a lot's coming in because of his just waiting around for the next big engagement.
Yeah, and if he just needs to right click. If he right clicks, he's completely fine. I don't know why he's just pondering around not doing anything. Somppu is just waiting on his laurels to try and get a shipment. And at the same time, Eliza is losing a couple of his villagers just from like 2 or 3, or 1 Gurkha and 2 not 2 Sompus, 2 sepoys at the top there. And yeah, I don't know if he can take this down very easily. He does lose his last villagers, Somppu, as well. He does have a couple in that town centre, 9 sieging. And I think Sompu's just going to go for another base trade.
Well, he's got all his eco at the bottom guarded by the frigates. He's built a market at the bottom and may rebuild his town centre somewhere else because he can't hold on to this top position for much longer. But he only needs 150 XP for his next shipment. He sends his military on expedition to the Oliveza's new base, shall I say, New Britain or New York, if we can call it like that.
New Amsterdam, even. Like, what is happening here?
Just to try and get that extra XP he needs so he can start sending the Urumi shipment.
And Eliza also needs to aid. He's shipping 3 shipments, and when your eco is so low from both players, I mean, if you were able to get 5 hussars out, or 9 musketeers, or 2 falconets out, it would just change the game at this point. But unfortunately, he's not able to age. He is just sieging down the houses of Somppu, but he's actually left 1 house left, which is what Somppu needs. And the town centre is going up. There are 2 sepoys there, and he's got the frigate there to take some shots at those hussars. He only has 1 settler left. If that settler goes down,
he's got two.
Oh, he's got a second one on there. I didn't actually see that. So that town centre's gonna go up, and Somppu does have the shipment instantaneously. Going to be shipping Urumi, where you can see he's over popped.
Gone down. 500's gone down. The Urumi are on the way. It looks like.
I don't know why Eliza just needs to run over to that town centre. There's nothing. Somppu has all his units, but they're miles away. There's 20 sepoys. He needs to get back over to that town centre. Thankfully for Somppu, he does have that wood trickle, which is continuous, and Eliza's only producing wood. He isn't getting anything else. And the last 3 villagers that Eliza does have are getting picked off by sepoys in melee. There you go. There's a couple of them going down, and he's actually rebuilding his economy. Actually, Eliza as well. He's using that VC. VC this time being incredibly efficient, actually, Victoria Company, because he's basically built his houses twice. But yeah, there's the 7 Urumis, which are just insane versus heavy infantry, and that's really all Eliza's got. Basically 50 musketeers and 27 longbows. But Somppu just needs to take a really good fight, and maybe he'll win.
Oh, he's gone to free his elephant explorer. He's so kind and caring, SomppuKunkku.
Yeah, he's taking out that wall, but actually, because of that wall, Eliza knows where all of his army is, and the more manor houses actually go down, it's probably beneficial for Eliza at this point. But go ahead.
I know Oliveza has lots of manors, so trying to keep the Urumi out of vision is be quite difficult. However, Oliveza has seen the Urumi. He knows he just needs to start massing hussars, keep his musketeers as protected as possible, and he just knows that this is SomppuKunkku's only time to push out a win. He needs to try and play this sensible. He's he's running into the open area where the Yurumis would like to fight. If anything, Oliveza would have liked to hug it, stayed in the trees. However, Yurumis making an advance onto the British army. Longbow's at the front, taking the Yurumi damage, but Somppu's put his Yurumis into cover mode onto the musketeer line. However, they've been picked off one by one. Gurkha's moving up from the side. Sepoy's taking onto the longbows to get the DPS onto the low HP units. Gurkha's poking away onto the musketeers. These musketeers are still colonial age. Gurkha's has 18 times by 2, dealing efficient damage versus Oliveza. And at the moment, it's 40 versus 20, but that was an alright trade for the Indian player, but he needs that next shipment with that all XP he's just made to kind of carry this momentum going. But unfortunately, I think he's starting to run out of steam here.
Yeah, I mean, that one shipment was all he really had in his coffers to really do anything, and Eliza's defended quite well against it. Eliza does have 4 shipments ready to go, and he just needs to build that TC up, and he does have it now from his Explorer. And honestly, I think this game is just completely over. Just look at the score. Somppu's on 68 score at 33 minutes, nearly 34 minutes. And yeah, there's not really much he can do here. And Eliza's even now going to be circle walling his elephant there again. So
this is a trap for SomppuKunkku. He needs to get out of here. Like, he doesn't need the Explorer. His villagers can build the town centers himself, but he's just got his entire army caught out by 5 hussars away from the coast. No frigate support here to help him, and all his infantry units are going to be picked off by Oliveza.
yeah, this surely is over. There's no way somebody can get back from this. He does have a barracks coming up, but I think this is sort of futile at this point. But saying that Dulvac, or however I say it, or probably Hulvac, I don't know how he said it, but by the looks of it, something might resign. But that frigate defends the coast quite well, and actually Eliza doesn't have a huge amount of vills over Somppu, but he does have the economy advantage. But Eliza just needs to age. I mean, if he can get two falconets in, it's just demolish.
What Somppu really needs to do now, like, I think the only way he can win this is a full transition onto the sea, because he has his villagers next to some woods, town centre to keep them safe, a frigate on the sea, and if SomppuKunkku keeps that frigate on the sea, there is zero way Oliveza can get onto the water unless he ages and sends ship support himself. He does have the 2 warship cards in the 3rd age, but for the time being, the sea is the only safe space to go.
Yeah, Eliza just needs to age here. I mean, the 4th privateer fleet, 2 privateers beat 1 frigate. So if he can ship that, he just demolishes. And yes, actually, this is a good idea. If Somppu got out some fishing boats, if he got out,
I like that.
if he got out some fishing boats, it would pump them out. Really, he doesn't have the shipment in deck, which improves fishing rates. Or anything, but yeah, I think he probably needs to at this point, especially if he gets 2 siege elephants out. If he were to be able to get 2 siege elephants out, or 3 mahult lancers, and just defend from Eliza here, but Eliza again he's just sort of pomerading around, not really doing anything, and allowing Somppu to get his economy back up. And with two town centres, he is going to scale better than Eliza. So, I mean, Some might say this game's sort of drawn out a bit too long, with Somppu being a bit disrespectful, but there he goes. He's resigning. But yeah, scrappy game, but not expected actually. Normally you'd expect Somppu to win, especially with India.
I thought it was funny that at the end of the game was the only time in the entire game that Oliveza had full mana population. At no point beforehand did he manage to get to 200 population, and he invested Virginia Company into it. So what you can deduce from this is that the new British OP strat is the base trade and rebuild your economy off cheap houses.
Yeah, but just look at the military unit population and how long Somppu actually sort of held on there. Eliza was at 97 at one point, and somehow from 97, that was 6-7 minutes ago. He's I don't know how, but he's just sort of held on, which is just insane. But we're gonna go to the next game now.
You know what it is? I think it was, if Oliveza was playing any other opponent, possibly a couple of skill levels down, Oliveza would have just right-clicked that TC when he felt comfortable. But he just knows that Somppu will send units everywhere. If Oliveza overcommitted his units to that one TC, he could say goodbye to 10 villas back at home and possibly got that Urumi pop on his head. So he had to play as safe as possible, considering this was a tournament match.
Yeah. Honestly, unexpected. Unexpected. I'm gonna turn you up slightly, as apparently you're quite quiet.
Ah, cheers.
That should be slightly louder. You have to speak again. Obviously, there's a 2-minute delay, so...
Yeah. I can't believe that SomppuKunkku managed to survive in a tournament game for 16 minutes from a position that you only had one villager alive. That must be a new record.
Yeah. Obviously, Somppu is sort of known for sort of staying in the game quite a long time. But, yeah, I mean... I'm pretty amazed, actually, by how Somppu played that out. I mean... Yeah, I mean, there's not
but the thing
is,
we said earlier on that, like, oh, this is looking to be a very difficult position for SomppuKunkku, but he stayed in and he made the best out of a very bad situation. The villager count struggled to increase for Oliveza. He was still picking off villagers into about 30 minutes. Had the frigates. He had the 2 town centres towards the end. I think if he possibly committed to building on the coast a little bit earlier, SomppuKunkku could be 1-0 up at this point.
Yeah, Somppu could be winding up. He does still have India where he can choose, and obviously Eliza can Eliza still can. He can't choose British. Somppu can choose India, and Arkansas is quite a good map for Somppu's picks. I don't actually know what Eliza can play. I assume he can play quite a lot. He's actually a first lieutenant, but he's not. He's higher than that. He's probably PR30, PR35 or something. But
my technique for checking what civs they can is go into the home cities and check how many 131 levels they've got.
Well, he plays on the Jokaloo account, which I know he plays.
Right.
Probably plays. I think he played Dutch against me once. And he plays quite a lot of Euro, but he is PR31, so he's not a bad player. But obviously, Somppu is Brigadier, and he's one of the well-known players in the game. Eliza does pick Japan, which is an incredibly strong civ against India, because obviously India can't. They can't really counter Japan with Yumis because they don't have cannons. But we do see Russia coming out from Somppu, which is a civ he's quite strong with.
Well, we saw that one of the previous series with King of Osmane, also in the pro division, successfully winning against Russia by turtling up with wars, defending, and then going into the third age with superior cav.
Yeah, as you said. So... I mean, it's definitely on Somppu here, really, to sort of push in and try and match the agenda and sort of make the game... the sound is fine, yeah?
Yep.
Confirmed. From what Headkiller said. But yeah, into the next game. First game, a lot longer than I thought it would be. I thought it would be pretty quick. But Eliza playing a lot better than maybe I expected. I mean, maybe it's my fault for ruling him out early, but yeah, I mean, we're right into the next game, and it is Japan versus Russia.
So we have in the left of the map Oliveza spawning with a Japanese civilization in the color red, and his opponent is SomppuKunkku on the right hand side in the color blue, playing as the Russians. This appears to be a wood and a food start. The Russian player is starting with 6 food crates as well as 2 wood, and with a wood start, I think this is going to be favouring the Japanese civilization starting on. They only have to chop a little bit to get that concept down, or otherwise we may see other strategies involving an early 2 shrines. It's either 2 shrines or a consulate build.
You can go trading post as well as Japan, but it's not as common. As you said, it is definitely in favour of Japan with that wood start, because Russia obviously likes having the extra food, and that the extra wood crate. You can't really do anything as Russia. You don't go for the market, you don't go for the trading post, unless you're going for something a bit cheesy. But yeah, I mean, Somppu does pick up a native scout, which is one of the strongest, stronger treasures on the map, because you just get so much line of sight. But on this map in particular, there's that CDB treasure at the top, which is really easy for Japan to take, and actually incredibly good just as a treasure. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the first game. And because of how the first game went, now there's a bit more action. It's now 1-0 to the lower seed, and the person who, honestly, I think most people sort of expected Somppu to be sort of flatlining this and just sort of taking over. So because of that, it becomes a bit more exciting, doesn't it?
Have you done the recalc population and score?
I have done, yeah. I've done it
Yeah,
somewhere.
because on my screen it's like I got the same UI, but it's from my version. I'm like, oh, still
Yeah,
no.
I've cast that quite a while. So
Have you seen the Oliveza's cherry orchards to the north? He's gone for a very large scouting pattern, which making the most out of the units. However, and possibly banking on the Russian explorer staying to the south near the trading posts, near some of the lower tier treasures. However, if Somppu randomly put his explorer to the north because it wasn't scouted onto quite late on, Oliveza's cherry orchard was very, very far from home.
Yeah, but it's not going to get caught. I mean, he might get some damage off him on the scout, but the scout obviously doesn't snare anymore. And there are the berries in base, so honestly, just look how much he scouted with it. It's just such an advantage. And he did also scout that CDB treasure, as I said, which is the important one at the top there. And
yes, it looks like he's moving way to the north now. The two Japanese explorers with their stuns, the divine strikes, can actually take down treasures with high number of guardians very easily, or much easier than, let's say, a European explorer. The European explorer would have to take a shot, move out the way of the radius, and try and tactically take out the bears one by one, possibly saving the crack shot for the last one. However, the Japanese civilization can just run up. He's stopping off the medicine man as well. Medicine man's got a high amount of HP, could possibly could tank a bit of the HP from the black bears as well to assist, or just keep the Japanese explorers healthy, which are important for the shrine building later towards the middle parts of the game.
yeah, and he's actually Medicine Man did get buffed of all units. He got buffed on EP. Doesn't take any population now, so it's not a Malice to Age 1 build. So yeah, Medicine Man isn't actually that bad. I mean, I know someone like Gibson sort of picks them up and he uses them to heal the units. It's not great, but it does do a job. And
but did you see how easy it was for the Japanese player to pick that up, though? That was near enough a free extra unit, or just a 200 HP slow envoy, if you want to say it like that. And you know how the Dutch envoys just sit in the opponent's base and get a lot of scouting information.
It's actually the same speed as the envoy. Envoys are full speed.
Oh yeah. Wow, envoys are very slow.
Yeah, they like jog, but they jog like an idiot.
Two Russian villagers moving their way to the middle / top hand side of the map, trying to get a forward blockhouse done. Not actually securing themselves any hunts for the time being, but zoning off a good portion of the map to have some safe hunts behind the blockhouse. Scouted by Oliveza.
Yeah, they get spotted early, does he? He spots them, and because of that, he can just place them down very, very easily. And that Medicine Man is actually that Medicine Man can probably get on one of them and do a decent amount of damage. It doesn't have a Malice, and that blockhouse does take a long time to go up. So actually, to be honest, him spotting it and having that Medicine Man there is probably quite beneficial for him. But at the same time, Somppu's just going for a normal build, isn't he? He's going for the sort of Russia, probably 5, what are they called, Musketeers and 5 Cossacks. It's first shipment.
Somppu's just running his explorer around the blockhouse, just trying to see the construction from all angles, but actually just protecting his villagers from being damaged from the Medicine Man and Explorer.
Oh, yeah, that blockhouse does go up though, and he's probably going to lose that Medicine Man if you're not careful. It does get snared, but
Medicine Man's going, "Oh, where the hell do you go? Don't leave me! Don't leave me!"
He's going to keep it alive. I'm not entirely sure how useful it is, as I said. He does have a little wall here. Nicely done, actually. Quite well deleted all the pillars there.
If you can actually get an extra, let's say, 50 to 100 HP on that Japanese Explorer in base, then that Medicine Man has really paid off.
Yeah, exactly.
Considering how easy he was to take. He was right next to it as well. It wasn't like he went out his way to pick up the Medicine Man, unless he was planning for the CDB and then realised he may not have the time.
Yeah, exactly. And Eliza actually went for 2 settlers, which is sort of unorthodox. Normally you see people going for 300 wood, especially if they've got the consulate down early, as it means you can get more and more shrines up.
The Japanese Explorer manages to just get out of the 5 Cossack raid before it goes down. However, both of Oliveza's Explorers are currently in the Japanese base and they're not out the field shrine booming, and that is slightly concerning because he's just sent himself 700 wood. So there's no prospect of extra shrines being built, and he has to go on the pure defensive now versus these 5 Cossacks and 10 Strelets.
Yeah, but thankfully the way he's built his base, it is pretty hard for the Cossacks to really get in there, and obviously Japan's villages are quite difficult to sort of raid, and these Cossacks are taking quite a bad fight. Doesn't really want to be taking that, although saying that.
Or one Ashigaru pop, the Pike militia on their own before the irregulars come out, and only 7 villagers in the TC. Oliveza could have done a little bit of better job getting some damage or getting some sort of defense, a bit more cohesion together. 600 coins coming for Oliveza, but he hasn't even spent the woods yet. I'm not too sure this is a good play for Oliveza. He's currently got no units. He hasn't got many units in queue.
That medicine man's got to go down. That's pretty.
He's got one Ashigaru in queue, but no foods to help him train another one. He's got 600 coin on the floor, not doing anything at the moment.
Yeah, and if we look at units lost here, where is it? Units lost. He has only lost 1 settler so far, so he's doing quite well in regards to sort of microing his settlers and getting them into the town centre on time. He does also have a market, so he probably will be able to have a couple of units coming out. Naginata in queue, and he one settler might go down here. No, it doesn't go down. So the Cossacks, there's 4 Cossacks now being sent. So this is sort of all in for Somppu here.
But Oliveza's got 1 musketeer on the field, 2 Naginatas in queue. Okay, he might get the Naginatas onto the struts because the Cossacks have gone for a little wander to take out this singular musketeer. However, Oliveza, he didn't ship irregulars, he didn't ship 5 Ashi or 5 Yumi to help defend. He's just gone for 2 crate shipments, which hasn't really made any use out of them, apart from a little bit of woods possibly in a market upgrade or the stable.
He does get a good position on 1 Nagi though, which does take a couple of Strelets out. Saying that though, the second one does get unfortunately caught by the Cossacks, and he isn't really too good on the shrine pop there. He should have changed his consulate maybe to the Japanese consulate so he can get some clubs out or something. He's using now villagers to sort of tank, and villagers versus Strelets actually are pretty powerful because Strelets do such meager damage on their own. He's going to lose a single one there.
But he's so close to the bestiaries, but his export is not going to increase because he got no villagers gathering. It's just so tantalizing close that he can get an extra 8 crossbows or 7 crossbows, but he just can't.
Yeah, exactly, and he does get the villager up again. He does get enlisted regulars, which is strong versus Russia. His Strelets now do die in 1 hit, and the Cossacks do die quickly. But behind this, Somppu's going for 700 wood. He hasn't gone for an all-in build. He hasn't just gone for what you'd expect, probably 13 Strelets or something. So he is defending quite nicely. 2 Nagis do come out. Nagis are incredibly strong versus those Strelets, and there's only 1 Cossack left to defend.
He is marking the TC onto the Cossacks so that the Nagis can go onto the Strelets without.
Yeah, they're down. There's a lot of Strelets going down. Eliza, after all of that, did get a lot of idle time, as you said, but he did only lose 2 settlers. So, to be honest, this probably isn't too bad for Eliza. Although he did send CM.
He can make more use out of 600 woods and 600 coin than the actual resource value of, let's say, 5 Ashigaras or 5 Yumis. He's got 1 explorer managed to get out to the base to the north, starting to shrine some hunts to further develop his economy. However, SomppuKunkku, he's shipped himself some crates, dropping down a 2nd blockhouse, which will get that infantry production a little bit faster. He's already got 1 trading post secured into the trade route. He knows that he's gone in, he's done some damage, and he's forced. I'm sure he's scouted that colonial militia was sent for the Japanese player, so he's going to adjust how he plays this very slightly now. He doesn't want to commit endless streams of small groups of units onto the TC, because as you can see at the moment, he's just losing musketeer after musketeer single shots. And 2 Nagis come onto the Strelets because the final musketeer is going to get sniped down by the TC, and these Strelets are caught out. The musketeers were taken down earlier. This is units going down the pan for free, this is. Basically,
yeah, but there's only Strelets on the board now for Somppu. He's got 30 Strelets and there's 4 Nagis. Strelets just abysmal versus cavalry if cavalry and mass here. They're saying that Strelets, they do still do damage, even if it is only like 6 to each one. And there's a couple of musketeers coming in from the back there, so Oliveza doesn't really want to just sort of stand there, and he does. Although that TC is actually getting some good fire off. He does it, and obviously those Russian musketeers, he wants to take one of the settlers out, because you don't need all 10 in. You can get 9 in and take musketeers out, but that doesn't really matter. And Somppu behind this, his eco is actually better than Japan, which isn't something you really expect.
And it's not just units gathering berries and cherries like the Japanese explorers are, Japanese villagers are. Even though they do have the 2nd tier food upgrade and the all-round civil servants, SomppuKunkku's villagers on hunts with the steel traps will be surely gathering resources at a much faster rate as well.
Yeah, and those shrines are going down, which is nice for Somppu. Even he's utilising his larger army. And there's the Bisteros and a couple of Yumis coming out from a shipment. But yeah, to be honest, Eliza's economy is sort of trash. It's not particularly very good. He's only on 70 shrine pop, and that's including the two 20 population from the Teshogu shrine. So he's actually only on 4 shrines, and even less now. And there's only a couple of Nagis here, so he can basically just run away, especially with the extra speed on those Strelets if you were to utilise it.
So the earlier pressure has limited Oliveza's ability to produce Nagis a considerable amount. He's shipped 5 Yumi archers behind us and the Bestiaros to try and give some sort of mass behind this push, but there's so many Strelets on the field that even the cavalry units which specialise against Strelets are just getting taken down very, very quickly and cost effectively as well. If you lose like 5 Strelets for 3 or 4 Nagi, then SomppuKunkku is going to enjoy that one.
Yeah, but saying that at the same time, can some people really push into this base now with TC fire?
He doesn't need to though. He knows that he's puts the opponent on the back foot so much, and if he scouted these 5 Yumis that have been sent again, he's thinking if he's just sent 5 Yumis, that is such a good shipment for me as well.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, to be honest, he's getting caught here. And there's a lot of units behind there just doing damage, and Somppu's army is sort of dwindling away. Those Nagis are doing a decent amount of damage. There's not a huge amount of Strelets left. And obviously
he's run into the 2 blockhouses for protection. Another batch, 2 more batches of musketeers coming out. Boyars, which only affecting 5 Strelets at the moment, possibly not. But he's got another military shipment to send behind this. So he's sending the best shipment he can at the moment. Possibly 700 food or coin could be helped to further mass to replenish his low army at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, his army is pretty large from Somppu at this point. He does have 32, sort of a mix of musketeers, more musketeers than Strelets. But if Eliza can pump out some Yumis, it should be fine, really.
We see a stable from the Russian player finally being added into the map at about middle of the map to the right hand side. He's got unit way marker back into the Japanese base. He's currently got 5 Cossacks in queue, 10 Strelets as well, and he's building the 3rd trading post at the moment. Just got sieged down by the Japanese player, but he's already got a 2 TP stagecoach as well. So although he's lost a few units while putting some pressure onto the Japanese base for near enough free, he's actually pushing out with his economic advantage. He's got more villagers, he's got the 2 stagecoach as well, and now he's pushing into the Japanese base. He's taken down one section of the wall, which was the Japanese player's consulate, and he can just walk freely in and out now without having to traverse all the way around this long piece of wall, which actually has been really affected this game. 600 wood comes in for the Japanese player, and he does have his... Well, he has 1 Japanese explorer in his base, could shrine this hunt to the south to get an extra 2 or 3 shrines there, but his other explorer is near the blockhouses, but he's been taken out, and so Oliveza is only on 60 population. He's actually currently housed at the moment. He needs to do something to alleviate this population issue before trying to build even more units.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, Somppu's just going to scale better. I mean, look at the eco. He does have a consulate going up on that corner, which did go doan. But there's Eco Theory even coming in from Russia, which does improve their eco by about 10%. So they're even more so ahead now. So yeah, honestly, Russia's completely fine. Russia's just going to sort of stomp over us, even if it does have CM. But that CM does represent villagers being in that town centre, not doing damage, not picking up berries or whatever.
I'm surprised how SomppuKunkku has not yet shipped 700 coin. Maybe he's saving 700 coin for an easy age up at a later point, but 700 coin is usually a very useful shipment to start that mass of Cossack production very quickly to actually get more of these very strong units in the colonial age for what their population cost is and their actual cost, especially with the Boyars card coming in. We got 5 Nagis engaging with the Cossacks. We got the Pike Minutemen and the extra irregulars. We got 16 Minutemen on the field here. The Russian army is engaged. He's trapped underneath the TC. high attack damage TC shots coming in, focusing down the musketeers. We got Yumi archers and bestios to the top end of the army. All the Cossacks are nearly down, and it's just ranged infantry and pike militia for the Oliveza fending off SomppuKunkku's army. But the Strelec masses managed to escape from the Japanese snare for the time being. 4 more Cossacks have been produced, but Wise is staying out of the combat for the time being and trying to incentivize the Japanese player to push into the Russians' 2 blockhouses. All in all, you think Oliveza had a good defense there, but those Minutemen pops of both the irregulars and the sentries were very expensive. And SomppuKunkku, he is enjoying these trades in H2. This is going so well for the Russian player, and that Oliveza's shrine pop is only at 80 at the moment. This is not great. He's sent the daimyo for a strong cavalry unit as well as the military buffs it provides, but most of this army here is just the sentries. He has a nice massive Yumi archers, bestiators at the time being. However, if SomppuKunkku, yes, he's just sent the 700 coin at the moment. He just needs to start massing up Cossacks, possibly from 2 stables, and he can eventually start to overpower the Japanese player moving forward.
Yeah, Somppu doesn't actually have any units sort of to counter this. He does have the five Cossacks on the back there, but unfortunately for him, these Nagis are pretty strong. They do have a decent amount of HP and a decent amount of damage. Daimyo as well is probably about the same as 2 Hussars in terms of HP and damage output. But and he also has the 2 blockhouses, which do have a multiplier against units. And there's Eliza saying GG.
I think Oliveza has realised that these 2 blockhouses are very tough to push in, especially with low siege units of the Archer style unit of Japan player, with the Bestieros, the irregular Minutemen, and the Yumi archers.
Yeah, as you said, those Bestieros, those Minutemen, and the Yumi archers are really strong. They're pretty powerful units, and unfortunately for him, he didn't have enough. He couldn't push forward, and even with the Nagi and the daimyo, it wasn't enough. And he was sort of on the back foot the whole time. Now that CM pop was incredibly expensive, even if it did take out a chunk of a size of Somppu's army, but unfortunately that didn't quite work out for him. So it is 1-1, and you can look by the if you look at the military unit count and how many killed, you can see the massive difference between the two, and how Russia can just pump out just an insane amount of units.
Yeah, so although SomppuKunkku looks like he's throwing units away easy, he's not taking out many military units, it's the fact that what Somppu was doing was sitting underneath the town centre, restricting Oliveza from getting that economy going. And I think the biggest difference between this game and the previous match, which involved a Russia-Japan matchup, was that Oliveza could not keep his explorers alive, and they were penned up in his base for a long time. And when they did move out, they kind of got picked off here and there. Oliveza's shrine count was very low throughout the entire game, which provides the population which he needs, as well as the very vital resource generation, which is not just infinite, but it's you can't idle a shrine. The amount of time Oliveza had more than 10 villagers in his TC, his shrines were continuously gathering. So it's a greater incentive to keep your explorers alive, out in the field, away from the action, try and get a few extra shrines going, and if needs to bring them back to the base for an engagement, you can poof them back in with a Minutemen pop, a Uni pop, a Cav pop. But I think a few of Oliveza's timings of military units being pulled out together was slightly off in this game.
Yeah, exactly, as you said. Do you want to get into the next game?
Yep. I usually look at the graphs for like 2-3 minutes, just sometimes just to see the chat catch up, but it's also very interesting insight you get from the graphs at the end.
Yeah, the graphs are interesting. They show sort of across time how the game has changed, basically, which is nice to see. But
so it's SomppuKunkku to pick his first civilization, I guess. Is he thinking of the Indians already?
I think they've already chosen. I think Eliza's going to be playing as Ottoman, because he was just Japan, as we said. And Somppu probably going to go back to India. Obviously, this matchup is, I think, slightly Ottoman favoured, at least in most people's regards, because they have that powerful Abbas gun. And unfortunately for India, they're what are they called? I've completely forgotten what they're called now. The Age 2 dragoons they have. What are they called?
The Zambaraks.
Zambaraks, there you go. Yeah, Zambaraks aren't particularly powerful. Right. It looks like we're ready to go. So, just Eliza to ready up now, and we should be getting going.
Right, I am back, and I'm looking forward to game number 3 here.
Yeah, Colorado, which is a map we've seen quite a lot actually recently, because obviously it was it's been in the game for quite a long time. I think it's a Garger map because you have those goats. Yeah, it's bound to be Garger if you've got those goats. But
I think this one may actually be Rikiki Poo, but the Garger goats must make a famous return from the Manchuria map that Garger made.
Yeah, the goats are terrible. They just run off and just do whatever they want. But it is a coin start, which is probably better.
No help to either player, so it honours even, I think.
Yeah, it's probably slightly worse for Eliza because coin you can use as the Ottoman player, and you can use it to age up to a fortress age quicker. You can get fast fortress, and you don't have to actually mine any coin to go to fortress with Ottoman in that situation. But as India, you don't really use it for anything. He does have 50 food and base, which is a really nice treasure actually. And he does also have a 90 wood on the side here, which is probably the premium treasure on the map, as well as 95 wood here for both players, really. But Ottoman's going to go for that TP, so he's not going to get much scouting done.
And unfortunately for SomppuKunkku, it looks like he sent both of his explorers to the top ends of the map, and he should be able to come across this 90 food treasure guarded by 3 wolves. For these 2 elephants, these wolves are very easy treasure to pick up, especially with the stun abilities, the stomp. You need to attack one, let them all attack one explorer, group together, and then once they've all grouped, then stun them and engage. But he's decided not to for the time being. I'm unsure why he doesn't want the 90 food treasure. He's possibly going for the 3 stray sheep at the moment.
Yeah, that's been changed. It used to be 2, so it's been changed to 3, which actually is very strong for India. That's a decent size of XP they get over the game as a trickle. So
as Sompu's villagers cost wood, he doesn't need the 90 food that early, as long as it's in before his aggro's dropped. But the earlier he gets to 3 sheeps, the faster that experience gained from the sheep start paying off. And I would like to know for the Indian player, for future reference, how much this treasure is worth for the Indian player, after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, because if after 5 minutes it's worth, let's say, 150 or 200 XP, then that's a sizable pickup for an Indian player, and certainly one to take as soon as possible with his 2 explorers if it is worth it in the future.
Yeah, as you said, and honestly, this map has got a few treasures which are quite interesting. That nearly mature cougar kit up here is really nice. You have
Oliveza's at the bottom of the map. He's just picked himself up the cougar treasure with the 90 wood, but he must have also seen the 95 grizzly bear treasure. Unfortunately, he has not got his crack shot available for the time being, so he's going to do a bit of further scouting towards the Indian base.
Yeah, and advanced trading post now coming in from Eliza. So that is quite a curious shipment, really, because he's already put down a trading post. So he will get obviously 2 TPs out of it. It reduces the price of TPs, I believe, to like 130 or 150. I can't actually recall what it reduces it to.
Well, his explorer it's not. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's out of position. I wonder if he's actually panning around the Indian player's base and try and take SomppuKunkku's home trading post for his own. Because he's currently got 150, 160 wood in bank at the moment, but not being invested in trading posts, which you need to when you send his card. So he's obviously wanting to set down trading posts on SomppuKunkku's home TP with the Explorer. And there we go.
Yeah, actually, although saying that, he's going to get 2 sepoys from aging up. So he's going to go for the aggro fort. That is the aggro fort. You could see by the damage when you put down the wonder. Yeah, that's really odd because it's probably going to go down relatively quickly, that trading post.
Well, 2 sepoys are not going to touch it because of the range attack of the trading post.
Doesn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that. Actually, it's quite smart, isn't it? If you put with how EP's now changed, yeah, it's actually really quite smart.
SomppuKunkku's just scouted this and going to think, what on earth is this?
Although saying that, the Ottoman eco is terrible now. It's only
when is it not terrible?
Yeah, exactly. It's always dreadful.
He's got a foundation queue on the SomppuKunkku's second trading post and a villager securing Oliveza's second trading post. For the time being, all 4 trading posts are currently being constructed or under construction or completed from the Ottoman player. And SomppuKunkku is still a while from aging up to the second age. So these trading posts are going up. And with the advanced trading posts and the Silk Road coming in, these trading posts will be bringing in a lot of experience, a lot of resources when a stagecoach's upgraded. When the stagecoach is upgraded, depending on where the actual Twavar is, could net him a large amount of experience instantly. And any age up crates like the 400 would be coming for the Ottoman player, the 700 coin, the 700 food will give him extra value due to this Silk Road. So I don't think we can count out the Oliveza's eco this early in the game.
Yeah, as you said, that ATP and with Silk Road now coming in, that's probably 20 villagers on those trading posts. And he is going to pick up 95 wood as well. And honestly, I think even with ATP now, it wouldn't even be a bad idea to get some of these trading, what are they called? Nature posts, not nature posts, Native American posts, because they do give a trickle now on the newest iteration of EP. So they're probably worthwhile actually making, especially after you've got that mosque down for India.
The Comanche settlements are not going to be very useful for the Ottoman player in terms of the units they make, which is
the units are terrible.
Horse archers, as well as the unique improvements for the Ottoman player early on in the game as well.
The trade language is actually really good, especially if the Ottoman player is going to be building hussars or janissaries. It reduces the cost by 10%, and because he's gone for such a long sort of way of playing over ATP. It probably wouldn't actually be that bad, really.
Well, the trade language is only for any researchers. So, for example, veteran Janissaries will now be 180 coin, and the Fortress Age will now be 900 coin instead of 1,000.
Actually,
so
right.
it's slightly deceiving. It does have its use in some matchups and places. We also have the cavalry speed and the light infantry hit points. So I don't even think the Abus guns will technically benefit from that. It does have the cavalry. Oh yeah, light infantry, that's the Coyote runners, but the cavalry HP for 10%. So if Oliveza takes this late colonial or gets a mass of cavalry or revolts or Spahis or Mamelukes, with the advanced training post already in, that could be an easier pickup for Oliveza if he's aware of the tech in the Comanche trading post.
Yeah, and as you said, there's 700 food even being shipped as a shipment, which you don't normally see because it is normally quite weak. It's not the best shipment.
Have you seen his macro? He's already got a lot of coin in,
and
I'm expecting he's got 4 hussars just produced there. This is an opportunity for him to get a fast fortress in if he chooses it. However, he's massed a lot of units for the time being, and with 4 trading posts, he can push forward or he can sit back. But if he was playing a colonial age agenda, his barracks and stables are very far away from the front line, so it'll take a while for the Janissaries to get to the action.
Yeah, and look at the eco population. Even when you account for the trading posts, each one's probably 5, right? When you account for the trading posts, it's probably about equal now. Maybe slightly in favour of Eliza, but India's just going to scale better, so he has to do something quickly. And a couple of hussars do come in. India hasn't got any units to speak of.
At the moment, I think it's a little crazy. Like, it's not even close because the Ottoman player has sent 4 Age 2 crate shipments, which have already been buffed by this trader in its own right. So it's not just the eco, how many resources you get per second by your villagers, by your trading post, but it's all these extra crate resources that Oliveza has already got the resources to age up after this as well, with still 400 woods available, and SomppuKunkku, who's gone for a fast fortress of his own, has basically got a similar eco, no units on the map, no map control, no TP, and he's going for an in-base Taj Mahal, it looks like.
Oh, actually, Eliza's got
raid coming in, he's blocking... Yeah, because it hasn't been put down yet, the settlers can walk across the foundation, but as soon as the foundation goes down, these settlers are having a long walk to the town centre.
Thankfully, it didn't go down, actually, because it would have been worse.
Yeah.
We would have got a couple of traps.
But this time is really hurting SomppuKunkku. That's delayed him up by a decent 15 seconds, I reckon, because especially with the number of villas he had originally planned to produce that, 3 hussars picking up a raid as well. And this has actually been really well played by Oliveza for the time being. I'm really impressed with his strategy. He's thought about the map. He's made the most out of the ESOC patch change to the TP radius, and SomppuKunkku hasn't even touched or thought about trying to take down his home trading post. So we were sat here thinking this is risky or that'll go down very quickly, but actually, it's the line of sight, it's the range attack, it's penning Somppu into his own base. Sepoys are walking through the town centre and distracting SomppuKunkku, and he's aging up behind this afterwards. Like, he can afford to lose a few units to get that pressure in. Another villager of the Indian player does go down at this moment.
Yeah, and a couple of irregulars actually did come out as well, even. So those janitors are probably going to go down. Although he did force Minutemen, and if you look at units lost, he lost 3 settlers for... Actually, I don't know if it's probably a bad trade for Oliveza there overall, but yeah, he's probably going to lose that trading post now. I expect him to lose it at least. And probably a couple of sepoys in queue for Somppu. Yeah, a couple of sepoys in queue for Somppu. But yeah, as you said, there's even more hussars coming out. They're going to be raiding more and more. And because of this, it looks like Eliza's going to be getting that Comanche settlement as well. He's got his bloke there right next to the trading post.
It feels like I've just gone back in time. I'm just looking at Oliveza's macro, and it looks like he's going straight into the industrial age after this. He's got all these hussars on the field, scouting around, forcing Somppu to retreat to his town centre. Minutemen are still alive. However, with a macro of 1,600 foods and 1,000 coin, industrial age will be very soon behind us. And checking Oliveza's deck, he does not have the hussar shipment in age 4, but this could also provide the perfect ruse or cover to SomppuKunkku to, I guess, show him that he's actually not planning to go age 4, but he actually is.
I don't think a revolt. I don't think a revolt here would be the best idea. It does have Palace Intrigue though as a shipment, which actually for Ottoman is quite powerful. You get a Janissary shipment. I think it's 12 Janissaries in age 3, which costs a number of wood. I think 1,000 wood, and you also get basically a second Great Bombard shipment at that point. So if you can get 4 Great Bombards out, and a number of Janissaries or sort of those archers out, did he even produce some? I think he produced some.
Right, I got to cut you off here. Oliveza has 9 hussars on the field, age up to industrial age, as well as having macro to go for a fast revolt straight away. With a stable down and stagecoach present with all 4 TPs, he can continuously produce some Imperial hussars after this. However, with a macro of 800, 1,000 and 1,000, as soon as that age 4 comes in, he is moving all those settlers across the map and starting the industrial... Well, not Industrial Revolution, the Viva la Revolution.
Yeah, the only thing which sort of confuses me here is the fact that he got Abbasid Market, which normally when you go for the fast revolt, you normally have 25 villagers anyway by the time you revolted. So that Abbasid Market upgrade doesn't really make too much sense because it's sort of wasted as soon as you get to the next stage. Although saying that he is just producing loads and loads and loads of hussars, which...
He has the TPs on wood. He sent 700, 600 woods, which had the crate bonus as well. And I think Oliveza's about to catch Somppu with his pants down around his ankles.
Yeah, as you said. And Somppu, he's also got the second trading post over here, so he's got a good XP trigger as well. There's the industrial age. And if we look at text being researched, we just have to wait and see what happens.
Coming in onto the trading post of SomppuKunkku. Only one went in. He must have not sent all of them together or tried to split them off. One Petard being picked off by the hussars. And
he doesn't want to lose those hussars, so that's pretty important that he keeps them alive.
He needs to keep them alive, but he does have more in queue. He's got 17 on the field for the time being, but he can keep training once the things come in. He's got a lot of idle villagers at town, but he's trying to macro for the... in Revolution. He's got 1,000 of each resources. He can click up for the time being if he wants to. He doesn't need to worry about houses at this point once he gets the Revolution going in.
That hussar just did you see the hussar? It just like zoomed into the floor somehow.
Oh, no.
I don't know how that happened, but there's 2 Great Bombards
on the field. That's what it is.
Revolution as well, yeah. So he's going to go for a really fast Revolution here. 25 villagers.
He's already got 14 hussars on the field. It's about to jump up to 24 Imperial.
And these are dangerous units, 640 HP and 60 damage, basically double of a normal hussar. He's pushing forward with 2 Great Bombards. Great Bombards are insane versus India. India is age 3, thankfully, and he needs something out to be able to defend against those 2 Great Bombards, but he cannot take the fight here.
He has 7 Eurometers on the field, which are just going to tickle the hussars. They're not going to even scratch them. They're going to tickle. That's how they have ranged damage with multipliers against cavalry. They don't do that great against cavalry. These Imperial units as well with very large stats, 640 HP, 60 hand attack. Colonial Militia, good against cavalry, but solid all-round heavy infantry to protect the Great Bombards, which is the siege he needs to take down the infrastructure of SomppuKunkku of the Agravort, the town centre. He does have the Taj Mahal available to him to buy him some time, but I'm not too sure time will even help Somppu, because the resource income and production of more colonial militia, more shipments of colonial militia and hussars coming in as reinforcements.
Yeah, and even has a couple of the Howders in queue now, Somppu, which, if he can get a batch of 5 out, he might be able to defend against the Imperial Hussars. The train even comes in, which is incredibly laggy, and you don't normally see it. Where is it? It's down there. Apparently it only upgraded one section of a line.
Yeah, that's a bug, but that's rubbing salt in the wounds at the moment at this point.
Yeah, the train basically nets you no extra benefit. And those 2 great bombards are just going to take down the town centres. Some people did make a second town centre, which was nice. He does get a batch of 3 Howders out. Howders are incredibly strong units. They even demolish Imperial Hussars. But then again, these colonial militia do have 5 speed, and they do have a ×2 against the Howders here. So they're just going to be doing more and more damage. And if I'll
tell you what I'm concerned about, though. Oliveza's vein. He's gone for the all-in military play here, but he's been very cautious with what he's using his military with. He does have the Explorer. He could go for a crack shot on one of the Howders to take a very high unit out very quickly. He's got his Imperial Hussars, and he knows that if he throws the units away, he could be in a tough situation, but he's got such a strong military advantage in terms of numbers and upgrades and strength, as well as heavy siege behind him, that I feel that Oliveza, he's in a slow push, but he's buying time for siege elements coming in. This is important. This is going to do some damage to the Great Bombards. It's going to need 5 shots to take him out, though. He needs to pull back his siege elements. They're currently in range of the Great Bombards. Great Bombards taking a large volley onto the infantry. Urumi on the colonial militia. Hussars pathing around to take on the Urumi head-on. Some of the Hussars are still engaging with the Sepoy, but the Sepoy only do 60 hand attack per swing, the same as the Hussar. They're trading blow for blow. Yeah,
but actually, to be honest, I think something might be... He's not fine, really, now, as it is, but he does have those Howders at the back. And Howders, if he can micro them correctly, they do have more range than the colonial militia. They are quite hard to actually...
Yeah, the Great Bombards are down, and the siege elephants are still alive. This is good control from SomppuKunkku as well.
Yeah, and at this point, Somppu can just make sepoys, and one thing Somppu is known for is just making sepoys. So if he can just do that, he should be fine. He just needs to pump more and more out. A couple more colonial militia
large raid
are
at the
come
bottom
in.
of Somppu's base. 10 villages at risk. Ceasefire comes in.
Yeah.
As it was meant to be used when the game was intended to develop this unit ability. 9 Zambraks coming out as emergency shipment for SomppuKunkku to bolster his mass. Settlers being blocked off by the colonial militia and hussars, and Somppu should be right on this mass of units to try and make the most of these settlers going down and not just go down for free.
Yeah, and there's a couple of settlers do go down. He is obviously ahead in eco, but and he did even get a training post of himself, so he can get the benefit from that train. But
the thing is,
how does he kill this? He can't kill this, surely.
Oliveza sent 16 colonial militia twice, but has trained at least 15 from the trains just on food. So it's not just a holdout and all the military dies, it's game over. It's a replenishing army of strong ranged infantry, and if he wants to macro, he can get a few more Imperial Hussars. More settlers going down on the top of the map from SomppuKunkku. He's run out of safe places to gather. Some villagers are trying to hide in the shadow of the cliffs, hoping to not be seen by the Hussars. Unfortunately, the Hussars have seen them. Oh my god, the villagers up against the cliff. They got nowhere to run. This is a slaughter.
The Gatling guns even coming out from Eliza. These units are terrible. They're not very good at all.
Oh, SomppuKunkku's picking these up for free, though. He's magically just decided to send his siege elephants to
he's taking down the town centre. That's all he needs to take down. Oh no, he's taking down the stable.
He's afraid of the stable, yes.
It's even smarter. Although those Gatling guns are going to come in. They are terrible units, but they do at least take down one of these siege elephants. That siege elephant's almost certainly going to go down. The Gatling guns, thankfully for Somppu, are probably going to get taken out by the Zambraks here, and that finally does die. Oh my god, the Gatling guns against these sepoys demolish them.
Yeah, they're great counter-infantry units, the Portuguese organ guns, but you can't offer a base trade versus a revolted army with heavy infantry and Imperial Hussars.
Yeah, Eliza taking the next game. 2-1 to Eliza.
Yeah, Oliveza's 2-1 up now. I I'm very thankful I didn't put any bets in this match. I know that there'll be people in the chat who are very upset right now. Their bets are not bringing in money. I wouldn't be surprised if people like Kinesis and Zoom have invested large amounts of money. I've seen them in the past investing over 10k per match at the moment. So
You can only
we
put
could
5k.
we could see some large upsets in the betting standings as well.
Yeah, actually, I put 3-1 for Lisa to win. I put 50 on that, so I won't be getting a huge amount of money, but at least I'm not losing anything.
Oh, you rich boy! Not over yet. SomppuKunkku will still come back for 3-2 though.
So yeah, if we just look at the graphs, I know you do like to look at the graphs, as you said, and we look at the military unit population. You can see when that revolt happened, Oliveza actually was somehow below. Actually, no, that can't be right. No, he wasn't. When the revolt happened, he had 87 unit population. But really, if you account for how good the units are when you revolt these Imperial Hussars, he probably had about 130. And what could Somppu do here? Somppu had to play for time, and he did play for time, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to defend as easily as he thought he would have been able to.
So I think what happened here was it was just a strategy win for the Ottoman player, because once the Ottoman player had the stagecoach control, SomppuKunkku still decided to carry on with his fast fortress agenda instead of trying to negate the TP advantage of the Ottoman player, or at least just try and put some pressure on the town centre. Could go for like a consulate timing with 15 sepoys, 5 musketeers, and the HP boost as well.
Yeah, as you said, and yeah, I mean, well played by Oliveza there. Somppu probably not expecting the revolt there.
Also, the all resources gathered is staggering. So at the time of the industrial age coming in, Oliveza was at 16,500 resources, and the Indian player was at about 13,000. 3,500 more resources for the Ottoman player, and the Ottoman civilization is renowned for having terrible eco. This is not true. This is showing that the Ottoman, if played well on TP maps, is a very strong civ to be used.
Yeah, even with the unorthodox, not sending any settler shipments, which normally would be terrible, but somehow he got away with just sending ATP, playing a bit like Portugal. But yeah, well played by Oliveza. He does have to pick next. I hope they know what map it is. I think it's Hudson Bay.
The map pool is different for every single round and every single league, and although it's in the same order each time, it's just kind of it's quite hard to memorize what map's after which map and which is the starting map if it changes every time.
What did you say? Sorry, I was sort of blanked out there.
Oh no, it's just talking about the map order. I think across the entire tournament, the maps will be played in the same order, but the starting point of the map pool changes per each round and division. So we do see variety across the tournament. However, as a player, you are aware of, if this is map A, I know what the next 7 maps are, and you can kind of plan how the map's going to be for your opponents and plan your strategy around that one.
Yeah, which
So Oliveza is asking for, can I take the best of 3 win here? I only prepared for 3 maps.
Hudson Bay, and it has to be with summer variants.
Yeah, good remembering. Have you been checking they've been recording the games as well?
It doesn't. I mean, I think they have been, but it doesn't matter entirely if a game is casted, does it? So, summer if applicable. Okay. So yeah, it's Oliveza to pick first. He, as you said, he has played Ottoman and what was the first thing he played?
He won with the British in game number 1 versus Somppu's Indians, and SomppuKunkku's played the Indians. He's played them twice and lost both times with his favourite civ. So I'll be interested to see if he's actually going to continue with his favourite and well-known civ of India, or if this is maybe just Oliveza just preparing so well against SomppuKunkku's go-to civ.
Yeah, maybe he's just sort of prepared to only go against India and hoping he could sort of a stream of good wins. And by the looks of it, it's working out for him. And there's Russia coming in, which not quite a counter to India, really, but it is a strong civ, nevertheless, against the Indian civ. So, oh no, he's going to pick Iroquois. He didn't actually green in. Iroquois, yeah, again, probably slightly better than India.
Yeah, the Iroquois are in a very strong place at the moment. They could either go for colonial age pressure. There's TPs on this map. If the TP spawn is a vertical line, then possibly Oliveza may want to push forward with his war hut and essentially contest the aggro forts toe to toe. The fast fortress of the era is very strong, with the very strong skirmishers of the forest prowlers. The forest prowlers as well can go into stealth mode. So if SomppuKunkku sacrifices his elephants into Ero's base early on, those stealth skirmishers can play a factor later on for positioning and potentially raiding as well.
Yeah.
Just imagine being raided by invisible units you can't see or detect. That is some Somppu level strats. That is.
Yeah. But we could see water on this map as well. Obviously, Iroquois can't really go water as easily as other civs because they don't have the best shipments of it. But some could go water, you never know. And I believe the summer variant of this map does have quite a few sheep. So you might see Eliza going for something like...
Well, his starting travois can be used to drop down a farm, which will provide him a decent sized amount of XP from the building being created, as well as a place for the sheep to gather onto the farm. I'm a bit concerned that Oliveza says, "Hold on, guys, I need to make a deck for this." Like, if he's not got a specific deck set out for maybe water maps, land maps, I'm sure he's got some sort of plan lined up in mind, because otherwise it seems a bit of a far-fetched pick. Oh, I'll pick a hero and I'll quickly build a deck here and I'll see how it plays out in the game.
Yeah, he did just... by the looks of it, he may have made a deck with fish marketed in and just native treaties, which is an interesting card there. But are we ready to go in?
Yeah,
Otto
I'm
versus
good.
Iro, which is a strong civ, almost definitely. Especially against Iro, because you do have those Abysscons, which tear through Iroquois' best unit, which is the Forest Prowler. But again, I mean, Iroquois does have those strong Dragoons as well in Age 3, so honestly, I don't entirely know who wins this match. I think it's about 50-50 maybe.
I think Oliveza has to, I won't say fully commit to the Age 3, but he needs to play with an aim to get to the third age, where Otto can either decide to go for Colonial Age with probably Jan Abus in this matchup for the Aenas, Tomahawks, and the Canyons are quite expensive to train. So I'm looking Jan Abus for SomppuKunkku in the Colonial Age, or can, if he sees how the Iroquois is playing, can go for the third age as well.
Yeah, and obviously Otto is the one probably... Actually, I don't know, maybe Iroquois is the one who can put on pressure. I'm not really too versed in the matchup.
It's tough. We've all had nightmares from the RE days of Iro and Otto being the strongest civilizations on that patch, but we're not on that patch. We're in the ESOC patch, and since then, these civilizations have changed slightly for this. Even their units have been slightly modified, specifically the Abus guns of the Osman player, as well as Aenas for Oliveza, I believe.
Yeah, we did just have someone subscribe, but I didn't see the name, unfortunately, and I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it if I did say it anyway. But yeah, what start is it now? It is just I believe it's just a food start, isn't it?
Yeah, food. There's no wood down for Oliveza, so that starting travois is essentially forced to drop down a longhouse unless Oliveza can get an early wood treasure. Now, Hudson Bay does have some strong wood treasures, however, not as strong as the winter variant.
Yeah,
I see a 90 foods near the center top of the land near the pond, 70 foods near for Oliveza as well, but 120 food, 2 polar bears. But I'm not seeing a wood treasure just yet.
There was 40 wood, which picked up by Somppu, which is really nice. I think he's actually chopping for a... yeah, he's chopping for a house here. So he built down the mosque. It was only a 300 wood start. So if you have a 400 wood start, you can build a mosque, you can build a house, you can build the TP all in one. But because of that 40 wood, he was able to chop for the house.
Also, a quick one. What do you think of Oliveza's hunt situation? I think he may be missing one, or at least his third hunt down here is slightly further out than this one. I think it's okay to play.
That's his fourth hunt, isn't it?
That's his fourth hunt.
That one's fourth. This one's third.
Second. Yeah, I don't usually count the starting hunt.
There you go. Well, no, you do. You count the starting one, I believe. I mean, yeah. They look pretty equal. I think it's...
To be fair, we're arguing over a fourth hunt, and it could be that this game could be over in 5 minutes. It could be over in 20 minutes. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I think the hunts are fine. Mine seem relatively fine. There's only one in
Yeah,
base for either
mine's
player.
equal.
Um,
And then the other mines out in the field are very symmetrical. We got two central neutral mines and one mine for each player down by the southern native TPs, which are of the Huron settlement.
Actually, the crew settlement on this map is quite interesting, really. You can go for the CDB, and Eliza did make a native deck. He does, yeah, he's made a native deck here. You can see he's got native treaties, and he's also got ATP here. So maybe he go for ATP again and try and go for the CDB. Cree are an interesting unit. They're pretty dire, actually. They're not great. And
This is certainly more of a funky deck that he's chosen to omit infantry HP as the Iroquois player and have native treaties in deck. And you can that can also be done to throw off the opponent. If Somppu scouts this very obvious native card, he may have to change his playstyle slightly, but it would depend on if when Somppu sees that Oliveza has built the native TP in the UI at the top. But if Oliveza was being really cynical, he could even drop an advanced trading post on the Kree settlement and have Kree trackers nearby. Very high HP, could do decent for idling TCs, strong against Janissaries.
Yeah, they're something like 300 HP. They're pretty powerful in that regard, but they do pretty pathetic damage, only 13 or something ridiculous. But there's the Iroquois Tomahawk being picked up by Eliza, or Oliveza. I can't say his name correctly. I do apologise to him.
I've been going for Oliveza, so...
yeah, but I'll just continue.
I'm sure one of them will be correct by the end.
Yeah. People are just spamming Dante in chat for some reason, or Dante, I don't know why. There is that Outlaw Rifleman treasure, the Cherokee Rifleman treasure, which some people probably going to pick up at the top here. Yeah, he's going to sort of snipe down one of the units.
Well, no, don't run away, don't run away, get in there. Hand attack. This is HP going down the toilet for free.
Yeah, he's just losing HP, which he doesn't need to.
Yeah. The native treaties cards be interesting for the Iro player, because having a shipment of both Kree and Huron, if you do have the train posts, is quite useful because you counter infantry and counter buildings. But it looks like he's gone straight for the 4 Canyon Horsemen. No training post has been built in any transition at all, which is not necessarily what you'd typically see in this situation. You've got 4 canyons underneath the Osmic town centre. Does not have an opportunity to gather up his starting wood. So he has no barracks on the floor. There's no way to produce any military. He's only got 1 train post down, but no, he's not building another one. He's too busy getting his Cherokee Rifleman at the top, which is not great versus cavalry. And his entire eco is penned up in his TC for the time being.
Yeah, but saying that, Iroquois didn't go for a TP in transition, which is quite peculiar, really, because he's gone for this sort of hyena approach, and there's a couple of those Janissaries in there. Kanya do want to come back, though, as well, and just sort of snare the Janissaries, really, but...
The Iroquois got himself a Iroquois Tomahawk, which is, a fairly decent heavy infantry unit to have as a free unit going on. But he's also got his 2 polar bears, which together is 500 HP worth of tankiness, which the town centre or any outposts don't have any multipliers versus the polar bear. So these can tank at least 5, 6 shots from the town centre, 2 for each. Oh, because they're 250, it would have to be... Yeah, three shots from each town centre, which is a sizable amount, which protects the the infantry units with less HP of the ANers.
Yeah, and this is quite a mass here, really. 18 units here, and a couple of hussars do come out from the town centre for Somppu, and he.
The 3 hussars are path into the bottom of the map, looking to go for a raid, and maybe. SomppuKunkku's got some line of sight and seen that Oliveza's hunting outside his base, and Oliveza hasn't really done much herding. He's been focused on his initial hunt, but hasn't herded his other second or third. And 3 hussars, although they're not exactly 5 Yulans, these villagers are exposed and can pick off 2 to 3, but has to decide whether this is worth it. We've got infantry mass of the Iroquois player pushing into Somppu's TC. We've got 11 villagers in the town centre already. A few extras trying to survive, but we've got 700 food. He's already sent both of his unit shipments. I'm not too sure what else he can send at this point. He doesn't even have Colonial Militia in his deck. He's got no other plays. So he's called Minutemen, defending with his Janissaries, pushing out. And his hussars on the villagers get a dirty raid here. Look at this.
Yeah, it's a good raid. I mean, it's going to lose probably... What is that, 5 or 6 villagers on there? He won't lose all of them, I don't believe.
Well, he's currently 3 down, and Oliveza is not reacting. He's busy trying to make the most of this macro of micro of the AN's Tomahawks. They're together in a single bunch. The Minutemen have turned around, but have kept them up. And Oliveza has just seen his base, but he's just lost 6 villagers so far. Could be a 7th. Seven villagers have gone down to Oliveza. He's only got 12 villagers on the field. No TP, so no great momentum with shipments behind this. He may have to send 5 settlers just to try and compensate. But if you still got less villagers than you started off with, even before you sent this 5 settler card.
Yeah, and he's now even just sacrificing more AoEs for no reason against Somppu's unit. Somppu is just now building up a mass of his own, and he also actually has more units. And when you're behind Ottoman and Eco, it's pretty pathetic, isn't it, really? Especially now...
It feels bad, especially after last game as well.
He's not going to get more on what are they called? Kanya's out. Because he's already sent the shipment and there's 700 coin, which is going to pump out Abbas production. And honestly, Abbas just demolish his army. If he can just get 5 Abbas out, it's just over.
Yeah, that's a good spot, especially when he's funding off the 700 coin there. He's got a decent amount of food in bank, 300. But he's already spent some of that on some units. So he has some units in queue, and I believe he's going for both as we said before, a Janissary Abbas gun composition.
Yeah. Oliveza finally getting down his trading post. And
yeah, we just seen the Abbas guns pop. I can only see 4 at the moment, but he does have 3 Janissaries in queue to follow up this with, and he's got 400 coin to get another batch of Abbas guns going. Yeah, he's got one-on-one queuing for both. Pushing out with the Abbas guns. Minutemen are still alive. Minutemen are getting some good damage for their return of their 150 food cost, 150 coin cost. And at the moment, Oliveza is trickling units away at this point. This is tricky situation for Oliveza. Does he push in and try and take out his Minutemen and come under fire from the Abbas gun, or does he have to retreat back to his town centre? Crack shot comes off from the Explorer. Ranged attack, however, must have missed a few of the Minutemen. 4 Minutemen are still alive with 1 HP. If Crack shot came into the middle of this party, all 4 of those would drop down.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't know what Oliveza can do here. He's behind Ottoman and Eco. He's now finally getting a corral down. He doesn't have any market upgrades, and at the same time, Ottoman does have steel traps, which is not something you see every day, really, is it? But
to be fair, with 14 villages, you should just sack the market, because
it's not really worthwhile. It's not really worthwhile.
10% on food is only 1.4 settlers, and it will take a while for them to actually gather the 50 wood and the 50 coin of the hunting dogs, where he needs all that wood from the market and possibly any techs he's getting. He's not got any techs in queue for the time being, but into Kanye's production.
Yeah, he's going to pump out some Kanye horsemen, but there's 15 Janissaries here. Janissaries aren't the best versus cavalry, but they do well against them. And these hyenas are obviously going to die.
Well, I don't actually know where his wood went, because he's dropped down the corral market. He's only got 1 Kanye in queue, or Kanya horseman, shall I say? But he's got no room to train anymore, and it's not like he's got any floor. Like he can only get 1 Kanya horseman, possibly 2 if he manages to get some extra macro in. He has sent the all resource shipment, the 400 food, 200 wood, and was it? Wait, is it how many woods here? 1, 2, 3, coin, food. There's 3 wood crates back at base though, so should be able to get another batch of 4 to 5 Kanya horsemen for the next batch. However, looking at the Ottoman's army, it's swelling up. It's all dragged boxed into one single group with the Abbas guns mixed in with the Janissaries. However, that does actually provide the Janissaries, the Abbas guns, a good meat shield together. If you have the Abbas guns far off from the Janissaries, it's quite easy to micro them down if they're out of the way. And if you misclick on an Abbas, you just click on another Abbas. But all these units kind of complement each other in different ways. The Abbas complement the Janissaries complement the Abbas. The Minutemen are they're just doing work. They're still out serving their colony, and Oliveza's forward war hut is under threat, and with a military population of only 22 behind this, that war hut's gone down uncontested, which could have been an opportunity for a few pot shots from the sides, and SomppuKunkku is just going to start marching forwards towards the Iroquois town centre.
Yeah, and that I can't make that in German. The Explorer going down, which obviously isn't a good.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. 7 hyenas now coming out, which is a good shipment. But honestly, I think this game is sort of over.
Look at this. There's no follow up. All the villagers have been gone to a fire pit. Fire pit's going to war dance, and the army is going to engage. If SomppuKunkku knows that the war dance is on, he knows that engagement is coming, then also engagement with Oliveza is desperate to take. Some of the Aegis guns at the front, though, due to this drive box, are being actually caught out by the Canyon Horsemen, who have a decent multiplier versus the Aegis gun. The entire infantry mass is moving back, and these are just dead moves coming out from SomppuKunkku, just to show how his dominant skills are prevailing in this match. Aegis guns have started to make their way to the back of the line and taking long shots, and Oliveza's caught the GG here. He is tapped out, and we're going to go to a deciding game. It's currently 2-all at the moment.
Yeah, and another really odd game. I mean, there's no TP early there from Oliveza. He didn't really do much. He just pushed in, all in, didn't get anything out of it. Iroquois, when they haven't got a TP, is very, very weak. And you can just see by how well Somppu defended here. If you look at military unit population, Oliveza did have the early advantage of 23 sort of 5 minutes and 30, but he didn't capitalise on it, and Somppu was just able to outscale him as Ottoman, which is not really something you see every day.
Yeah, you've seen that villager count drop from 18 to 12. It was also slightly interesting, if you actually look at around the timeline at the same point, Oliveza wasn't training any villagers, so it was either he was housed, he didn't have the macro, or he was focusing on the army too much, but he wasn't training villagers or keeping his existing villagers alive. And it's much cheaper to keep your existing villagers alive than it is to train a whole bunch of new ones.
Or maybe he was just putting all his food into sort of producing more and more units, which is what you do as sort of Russia and that sort of civ. But yeah, a decisive win really for Somppu there. Sort of no doubt after sort of 6-7 minute mark that Somppu was going to win. So yeah, we're getting to the last game, 2-all. I mean, who would have thought this series would have gone to 2-all at any point?
The final game's on a Manchak, right?
Yeah, Manchak, which is a bit like Bayou, but it's got a training post.
Do you think Sompu's going to fall back on his trusty Indians here? Because he hasn't won with them yet, and you can't... I don't imagine SomppuKunkku going 3 games with India and not winning. It's actually SomppuKunkku to pick, I believe, for the final game.
Dutch from Oliveza, so I think Somppu could still go India, can't he? Yeah, he did go India, so yeah, he did pick. He picked India.
Oh, I haven't seen the confirmed. I was getting excited over a Civ pick. I'll check if Sompu's ready, because unless Sompu's actually confirmed that he's happy to stay with the Indian, then we don't actually know what the matchup is. I assume he's picked and confirmed.
Yeah, I think he's picked India. I mean, Somppu is sort of well known for playing India, so.
To be fair, I guess I also jump into the game room slightly after these guys, so maybe I've missed that early communication. So, Dutch is an interesting pick for this map, I would say. You've got 2 in-base coin mines, you've got enough hunts to get down multiple banks and age up to age 3. Space on your little portion of land's quite limited, and I assume that SomppuKunkku would like to drop an aggro fort in the centre of the map over that TP. I don't imagine Oliveza try and play this out in age 2, so we may see a situation where SomppuKunkku is putting on the pressure into Oliveza's base.
Yeah, exactly, and you do have a lot of coin mines on this map, actually, though, as you said, which is good for both players. India does like its coin as well; it eats it up, and looks like Somppu is going to ready up. So Oliveza just to ready up now, and yeah, a deciding game of quite a long series. I don't know what time we started, about 8 o'clock, I believe, our time. It's been nearly 2 hours we've been
Do you know what the funny thing was? I go back to my football and I said to my mum, like, oh, I'll just have my food later. Something's come up, and
yeah,
it's a long series here, and I'm glad I've made this decision. This has been an entertaining cast, and it's been an entertaining series, and I'm looking forward to this final deciding match, because this does decide who advances into the round of 16 for the Pro Division.
The loser will still go on to the advanced division, of course, and I think they go against. Actually, no, I have no clue who they go against. I won't lie and say I know, but yeah, it is quite a defining matches really, because it's whoever goes against Lucas, and Lucas is really quite a strong player. I mean, he's one of the highest seeds. You saw him after the New World Championship sort of transition from Treaty and whatever.
Did you also notice at the New World Championship that Lucas was one of those players who always turns up to the venue for about 11 a.m. and was getting practice games in with H2O, with Dio Ruger. Kaiser Klein turned up slightly later in the day, but before all the events kicked off, but was getting some multiple high-quality games in there, while everybody else was still recovering from potential festivities of the night before. He was very committed.
I don't think I was there before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, on most days. So, but yeah, as you said, Lucas is pretty powerful. Not powerful. He's pretty incredibly good player, especially as China. Although China's meta has changed recently, and he's also very good at Aztec. But it is a wood start, I believe. So that's not very good for Dutch. It's better for Somppu. Obviously, Dutch likes the coin start, and the start on this matchup is pretty important. But yeah, what do you really think both players are going to do in this matchup, then?
So I think in this matchup we're going to see. What was the crate start again? Was it the food and wood or just wood?
Was it food and wood?
It's definitely not coins, so India will be happy with that
wood.
one.
It was just wood.
And that means Oliveza will have to mine a bit of extra coins to get the 12 villagers being produced, or produce it up until the 12th villager, so that he can send his 3 villagers and get to the preferred age up time of 15 villagers. He's still got a wood crate on the floor, which he doesn't need to gather up just yet. He needs that 100 wood for the house. But he's saving that 100 wood for his transition bank, which it's much better to save the wood for the bank in transition to kickstart that eco coin production to train more villagers in H2 than it is for like an early market or anything else. However, I do believe SomppuKunkku will drop a forward aggro to the center of the map. We got a coin mine, we got this trading post, we also have a 100 XP treasure, which the aggro fort in its own right can easily take out for free, while leaving the Indian explorers to pick out treasures across the map. We've got 80 food currently from the Indian player, which will speed up his age up even more. But once SomppuKunkku's in the second age, I believe he'll be looking to either... I'd imagine he's in the first game, he did a consulate... I wouldn't go as far as a consulate rush, but a consulate timing push with the British musketeers, trained about 10, 15 sepoys, and could end up shipping 5 sepoys after the diplomatic intrigue card to get a large, massive infantry before pushing on to Oliveza's base. Because Oliveza is Dutch, and the Dutch like being age 3. They like to get that semi-FF going. They like to advance to the third age, which leaves them slightly weak for a period of time when they invest in their resources into technology instead of economy. They can defend with skirmishers and hussars. However, once you get to the age 3, the skirmishers auto upgrade. You can train your ranged cavalry Reuters. You get to ship some strong shipments of 9 Reuters and 8 skirmishers. And so I see that SomppuKunkku wants to put pressure onto the Dutch player in the middle, early part of the colonial age, while Oliveza will try his best to come up to age up to the third age without any serious damage done to his eco.
Yeah, and as you said, Dutch does like to age up. They can obviously defend India quite well because they do have those skirmishers which do outrange the Gurkha and whatnot. He is going to pick up a native scout, and he did also pick up, I think, 75 wood earlier. Yeah, 75 wood, 35 wood. So he's on the way to his bank as soon as he gets sort of age up in Q now.
Well,
Somppu aging really early as well, actually.
Have you seen this? So Oliveza's picked up 35 wood and 75 wood. Now, with that 100 wood on the floor as well, he's got 210 wood towards that bank. So he only needs to chop 140 wood to get that first bank, which is an instant 4 villager bonus to the Dutch's economy. So any treasure the Dutch can pick up can save resources on the foods needed for the bank, the woods needed for the bank, or the coin needed for your first settler. So all these treasures are going to absolutely help Oliveza in transition and lay that important platform for him to defend in Age 2. Agrifort placed in the centre of the map. We've got the Envoy, Native Scout, and the Dutch Explorer mealing down the villager. And I think SomppuKunkku's villager is at risk at the moment. He's starting to walk back. He's sent a waypoint all the way back to his town nearby the town. He needs to get out of this quickly.
It should be fine. It's not snared, thankfully for Somppu. The native scout doesn't snare on this match, so he should be able to get out relatively easily. It might still go down from a couple of punches. Look how fast that native scout runs. It's pretty incredible.
But look at the Envoy. He's just chasing an Indian Discovery settler, thinking, "Oh, I need to work on my fitness. I can't even catch up that person."
Yeah, exactly. But some, as I said, the Envoy is very slow. It's only 5 speed, no 4 speed even, so it runs
Full,
like an old
yeah,
man.
full speed.
But
Have you seen this? So the Envoy stats here: 200 HP with 10 range resist. This is the same as the Medicine Man as well, which was picked up earlier in
yeah,
this
they
series.
are
So
exactly the same actually. Yeah,
it
basically.
has that kind of similar potential. If you ever see a Medicine Man with 2 Cougars, that could be a free additional scouting unit, which you walk into the enemy base and possibly stay there for a little bit, because it does take a while to shoot down an Envoy with this HP and range resistance and damages the eco. See this again. Somppu sends another full HP villager forwards to help construct the aggro, but more importantly for him, to drop down that forward consulate. There's no reason we need to send a villager all the way out just to save like 2 or 3 seconds from the age up, because this villager hasn't been constructed since the start. So this is good information for Oliveza, and he can plan his defense accordingly. Possibly once he gets the bank done and says 700 wood as his first shipment, can drop down a barracks as a matter of urgency and build skirms to defend from this point forwards.
Yeah, thankfully for Sampu, that villager is not going to go down. He is also going to pick up 100 XP by the looks of it. Although Eliza's bloke's right next to him. Well, this is a bit of a contention. Yeah, quite easily on Sampu's side. Yeah, I mean, he now knows he's going to push. Those 2 banks are very close to each other. And we're probably going to see a barracks down, although it is 700 wood as the first shipment, which is quite peculiar. Normally you'd send a bank wagon in this matchup, because a bank wagon it's basically like a 5 villager shipment, isn't it? And you get more XP.
A full villager settler, but a shipment, but you don't have to build it, and you certainly don't have to trade. Get the resources to actually build it yourself. But as you see, he's gathered up the woods and he's built in a market as a forward wall, but he's thrown down the barracks with 3 settlers. So he's planned for the 3 villagers. He thinks he can get away with 3 banks as well. I don't think the Dutch is in a bad situation at all. I think his build's gone very well. Bank wagons come out. He needs to get down before the infantry come in. The bank build's very fast, but you got TC fire onto the seaport. You got Minutemen support available. Skirmishers will be being produced, and the next shipments on it is just in bank. Could be shipped, and it could be 8 skirm. Unfortunately, though, for Oliveza, all his villagers are in the base. There's no side build villagers, and he's currently low on population, only 20 out of 30. So if he does want to send the 8 pikemen, he has to be very careful. But he needs to train a full batch of skirmishers first before he sends the shipments.
Yeah, and there's the 5 settlers. He's trying to get Minutemen. Minutemen population out. Or maybe he can use the bank, thankfully, to buy some resources and get a couple of skirmishers out. There's a number of more seapoys coming out, and there's the 5 skirmishers. There is that elephant, and a couple of sours are going to come in, so he needs those Minutemen as soon as possible. Does he have them in the queue?
Yes, sours coming from behind. Very strong against skirmisher type units, where they have a multiplier versus these ranged infantry units. Colonial Militia comes in from Oliveza. I didn't see his population increase. He's got the additional damage out from the town centre. However, he's trading off the sours from the town centre fire with all the skirmishers being Minutemen being called slightly late on this, because he hasn't got many resources. And this is, if he had any extra villagers on the sides getting the resources, he could have times the skirmishers with the Minutemen. The Minutemen are engaged in the seapoys. The seapoys are taken the Minutemen face on, but it's taken large damage from the colonial militia town centre. He may not be aware at the moment that colonial militia has been sent, because if he is aware, then the seapoy are going down in 2. Well, they're going down in 2 hits anyway. Actually, so it probably doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, this CM I think is a mistake. Like, imagine if that was 8 pikes and he popped them on the sours at that point. He would have got out, just taken out the sours really easily, and had a couple of skirmishers left, and these seapoy would have still gone down. So
I think seapoy might be the only kind of like heavy infantry units so far in the game which before CM takes 2 shots to kill, and after CM still takes 2 shots to kill.
No, it's the same for most. Yeah, it's only the Russian musketeers which go down 1 shot.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because normal musketeers have 150 HP, and this is 130.
Yeah, 135s, yeah.
He's doing well though to keep his villagers
close
alive.
enough, though.
A couple of skirmishes do come out, and then
3 skirmishes pop out. Explorer melee snaring the seapoys, and he focused the elephants down to ensure that his skirmishers will be able to take a few shots on the seapoys unprotected. And SomppuKunkku has gone for a very
yeah, but again, Eliza's just sent 8 pikes, which is such a dreadful shipment at this point. He knows there's not going to be anything from Sompu. I mean, if we look at Sompu's base, there's not a stable, there's not even a consular. Candice now does come out, but that CM just seems so wasted. It was just not particularly great.
He sent the wood trickle behind this, which, although will help his economy grow, it doesn't provide that instant benefit of the 600 woods. And at the moment, he's throwing down a stable, but he also needs to throw down a consulate at some point, possibly a couple of extra houses, and he hasn't even got a market yet. And he does actually.
If it's gonna get, why is it there? A second market going down. Don't worry, he's gonna put a second one. So
this is some top level Somali strats. Like, get that line of sight going across the map when you can. So far, he's only got civil servants researched, so he kind of needed that second market to get the the tier 1 very cheap upgrades, but needed upgrades really. Oliveza currently has 300 coin in the bank, and he has a stable and a barracks down. So if he was looking to age up, he would probably want to send the 700 food instead of the 700 coin. But if I go to units in queue, he's got a skirmisher and a hussar. It doesn't mean he's committed to finish the batches. However, Oliveza may be thinking of actually playing this in the second age after shipping 8 pike and possibly wanting to make some use out of these shipments.
Yeah, which I think is a mistake. He probably should just try to age up. I mean, if he got the age up in, the sours are just so weak, aren't they? They're not particularly great units when you get into the third age against, especially when you don't have the upgrades and you need that camel attack card. Sompu doesn't even have the, I think it's Desert Terror the card is called, where you get an extra damage on the sours there.
Totally agree with you there, because the sepoys can pick off the pikemen if they're sieging in the aggro. So the pikemen need to get close to this defensive building, but the Indian player can make Zambaraks and defends these 2 hussar raids coming from the side. With 2 hussars on the 4 settlers on the right hand side, there is Hunt still available in the base just about. There's only a few left, but these settlers have extended far out and probably weren't expecting any hussars being produced by Oliveza in the second age. Infantry mass pushing into the centre, being sandwiched by both sides. We got sepoys moving to the south. We got 8 sours on the field, predominantly skirmisher army with only pikes available. Once the pikes get picked off by the sepoys, the skirmishers are out unprotected. Pikemen overextending, chasing the cavalry towards the aggro forts, however having to go back in defensive cover mode to try and soak up as much HP. 5 hussars being trained, being sent forward onto the sepoys with the 2 raid hussars coming in from the side. Now this is the engagement Oliveza actually does want to take. He does have a decent mass advantage. Hussars taking on the sours and skirmishers reinforcing 5 skirmisher on a sepoy mass. This is not this was not in the story for this matchup. This is Oliveza pushing out his base with an H2 army and taking the military advantage 25-10.
Yeah, which, although saying that he doesn't have any anti-cav here, there's a couple of what are they called? There's a couple of sours coming out. If you don't look at units in queue, there's a couple of hussars actually. I tell a lie.
4 hussars just been popped as well. So once Sompu sees these 4 hussars, he needs to react and return to his base, or he's trading off the sours as well as he can. He's just focusing sours on the skirmishers. And I think when you realise that you're going to lose some units, this is a good move, is to make the most of that unit while it's still alive and while you can. He must have picked out 4, 5, maybe 6 skirmishers from those 3 or 4 sours while they're still alive. We have the Minutemen pop from the Ottoman consulate, as well as the pike sentries from the town centre being called but never reached a battle in time. So a slight oopsie there from SomppuKunkku. However, they still do survive with 1 HP and will be used later on. Big raiding coming off the top of the map. 4 hussars. Oliveza knows that the starting hunt in Sompu's base has run out, and is applying hussars both to the bottom and to the top to catch villagers. Sompu's army is only in position to cover one of these armies, and the sours have caught the hussars of Oliveza. However, the hussars at the bottom will be a bit upset, but they didn't catch anything here to raid. 2 hussars in the centre of the map as well, picking up 2 settlers who are out chopping tree away from the aggro fort, slightly too far away from the garrison point. Unfortunately, though, Oliveza did lose 4 hussars to sours and 1 HP units, and all these 1 HP units are still alive. That could have been an opportunity to go into trample mode, or at least just try and pick off these units while they can, because they've actually got some good value out of it so far.
Yeah, exactly as you said. The units get some decent value as sort of Minutemen and the other Minutemen, which are popped from the Ottoman consulate.
What do you think of this shipment? 3 hussars at 1 minute ago.
3 hussars. I mean, well, let's look at his deck. He probably could have shipped something a bit more beneficial. Something like probably 600 wood would be more beneficial. He's been
Well,
on this whole time.
if he wants to age up, he has the 4 banks for the coin. The Dutch settlers gather coin really fast as well due to their civ bonus, and just sends the 700 food behind us to get that resources need for transition. But a shipment of 600 wood does infer that he's committing to the age 2, and Somppu has reacted by training Sepoy Sour, but with no Zambaraks, these Hussars can engage the Sours face to face.
He does have
he does have a batch.
Yeah.
They all look the same. But when he's four Zambaraks, 2 Sours, this cavalry mass is at the moment kind of unchallenged, and the skirmishers will rain fire on the Sepoy and the Zambarak. So I think Oliveza is pushing the advantage at this point. Agrivolt's only down to 1300 HP.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a lot of XP when it comes down. 320 XP when it goes down. And those pikes are getting a lot of siege. 320 HP. Somppu gonna lose his stable there, and to be honest, I don't know who's in a better position here. Dutch can get another bank up, which he probably should do at some point, because obviously with EP you can get 5 banks up.
Thankfully for our OCD, Oliveza has just sent his another shipment, and by looking at his deck, I pray that it's 700 food, because he doesn't need the 700 coin, and he's not going to be he may send an infantry upgrade at this point. He actually does have a large mass of skirmishers out in the field.
Yeah, he might lose a couple of villagers here, though. Those
there's a big raid coming from the left-hand side of the map. SomppuKunkku's just said, if you're taking my middle base, I want to take out your eco. This is all his settlers outside the base. Yeah,
there's also a massive raid in Somppu's base. Somppu is aging, and there's 700 food coming up from Eliza.
Somppu managed to get that age up fortress foundations placed down, but yes, the 700 food is needed for the age up, especially now he's been denied off his only hunt available. He didn't herd his 2nd or 3rd hunt underneath his TC, where it's quite safe, and he has paid the price by losing a loss of settlers at this moment. He's lost 11 settlers as Dutch, and the thing is with Dutch, you have your banks generating coin all the time, but you need your settlers to get that food. At the moment, he needs to gather up these food crates, but apart from the food crates, he's got no prospect of getting food. They're all under his TC.
Honestly, I believe
this is a base trade.
It's a base trade, but the Dutch wins this base trade because he's got the banks. Almost certainly.
He also got an army of pikes with him as well. Skirmishers taking range shots on the villagers with no HP upgrade. A lot of these settlers villagers going down. You got cavalry, which are not going to let any of these escape. And yeah, SomppuKunkku does. It's called Colonial Minutemen. He's defended from his town centre. The villagers can get out the barriers.
We forgot about the Minutemen as well. Yeah, but we forgot about the Minutemen. Somppu is getting a town centre down, but he's down an eco. Somppu's going to lose his base. Almost certainly, he's going to lose all these houses. And Delilah did send 700 wood food, so he does have enough just to probably age up behind us himself.
The thing is, these are not just any houses. These are not your British M&S houses. These are the Indian houses. These are very weak HP. 800 HP. These go down very, very quickly. And this is a loss of resources of the Indian player going down, which he would need to reinvest. He has 80 population space going, but with... Look at this. He did delete his foundation of the Taj Mahal and move it down here.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's no garrison point anywhere near. He's got 2 hussars on top of the villagers and no army nearby to help out. The town centre, the garrison point, is on the other side of the map.
Yeah, he loses most of his villagers here, actually. You're completely right. He needs to move them. Maybe he can ceasefire immediately and sort of not lose any. But honestly, I think Eliza's just won this.
Infantry attacks just come in, and the sizable part of his army is infantry and moving on to the only spawn point of the Indian player. He knows that he's got the upper hand in this, especially with the hussars at the bottom taking free reign on some villagers here. He knows there's some extra buildings down here if he wants to send a few pikemen whenever to siege. He's got 4 pikes staying in the base of SomppuKunkku taking down houses, and Oliveza, look at the score lead. It's 70 points in the lead, even though Somppu's in age 3 with some of that score referring into his coin he shipped and the actual resources of the Wonder.
There's a ceasefire coming in, but Eliza he's scared again. He doesn't need to be scared, but he just saw the shipment come out.
He needs to run because the ceasefire is a forewarning clue. TC spawn point being directed onto the Oliveza army. A shipment may pop out. It's just 9
shipments take 40 seconds, so even if we had two cube there,
nine C-point
it'd be
shipment
fine.
came out earlier.
And Eliza can, if he can get all of his units and just push, he's got a couple of hussars there as well. So if he keeps them back, even if the Yurumis do pop, he should be fine.
And the 1 unit shipment you do not want to send in front of a large mass of skirms like this is the 9 Sepoy shipment. So
no, there's Yurumis,
sends out
but
moving forward to
you
try
can
and
get the
snare
hussars on them.
skirmishers, but the hussars moving to block off the Urumi. Skirmishers moving back to Kite, possibly don't want to shoot the rogue villagers coming up for a walker here, but focusing down on some of the sepoys. Some of the villagers tanking here, all the Urumi down. Even the pikemen are piking down the Urumi. Minutemen are still alive from the Colonial
still alive, yeah.
push, taking on the sepoy. This is a clean-up from Oliveza, and
there's nothing. What does he send here? Although saying that if he did get the Mahouts out or something like that, he would be able to clean up here because there's only 7 pikes. But he's going to go forward.
With Somppu's eco and having to chop so much wood to get some of his infrastructure up, he's got no prospect of sending Mahouts soon, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless he's selling wood in his market and buying food.
Heck, he can probably send 8 Gurkha. That's not going to help me much. 6 Sours maybe will help, but again, it's not going to help a huge amount. He is now shooting down those pikemen, but he hasn't even got a shipment ready. He still has 115 experience to get the shipment done. And
this is desperate when you haven't just send out some vills from a siege TP town centre because you know you can't physically reinforce it with any military population. He's only got 4 population, and Oliveza's still on 50. So Oliveza's got free reign to upgrade his army with infantry hit points and attack, train more settlers, train more hussars, train more skirmishers. All the settlers are running from the town centre, getting taken out, and I don't even know where they're going to run to because I don't think anywhere else is any better than the situation they're already in.
Yeah, Somppu's only on 11 villagers now. He's just running around the map. There's no way he can collect, and at the same time, that TC spawn point's gone down. What is there he can do? He does have a shipment, but he can't actually use it. He can build a TC up again, but yeah, there's the GG. So
SomppuKunkku calls the GG, and Oliveza has just defeated SomppuKunkku in a best of 5, 3-2. And as series go, this may be one of the best series we've had so far in the tournament, and it's only week 1.
Yeah, it's a massive upset, really. Eliza being the even lower seed by a substantial amount, actually. And, yeah, Somppu not being able to win a single game with his preferred civ is India. And, yeah, Eliza having some odd strats, really. You saw the revolt in the Ottoman game a couple of hours ago. And, yeah, it's just propelled from there. And you can see from Eliza's units killed count there, he killed a lot more Indian units, probably because of micro and good positioning there. And sort of CM and Somppu going stuff like 4 Sours first probably was a mistake, and ultimately that ended up with Eliza finishing the series 3-2.
Yeah, very impressive Oliveza, because when you're under pressure from aggressive civilization like India, or at least these high damage units of the sepoys under your base, sometimes you may get a bit flustered, a bit panicky, a bit of oh my god, what do I do? But Oliveza, he managed to keep most of his settlers in his town centre. Relied on colonial militia to help out, got a few hussars which put some pressure onto SomppuKunkku's economy, distracted it, and when a few of the Minutemen popped out and the skirmishers popped out to defend the initial push, a lot of the sepoys actually stayed around to fight that, and I don't know if staying around and fighting underneath town centre fire skirmishers and Minutemen was a desirable option for SomppuKunkku that way, and as a result, he never really got that critical mass he was looking for in the Age 2. If you look at the military unit population, if you're still in, at about 8 minutes, he's only got 4 unit population, and it's just he sent his early military unit cards, but doesn't have the military units to show for it as the game progresses. And then once Oliveza takes that great fight by the Agra fort, just maintains the military unit leads and just dictates the fights on his own terms, and went towards SomppuKunkku's initial hometown, his second town centre, and SomppuKunkku didn't have the food to send the Mahouts, and just eventually ran out of spawn points and settlers to actually get the economy. That was, again, a really well played game for Oliveza, because the standard play would be to go to Age 3, and by staying in Age 2 may have thrown SomppuKunkku off his stride.
Yeah, I mean, probably Somppu didn't expect Age 2 play from Dutch. Normally you see Dutch go into the next, the third age, and unfortunately for him, it didn't really pan out. But I think that's us done for today, isn't it?